What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9 Shish. Chapter 201 Chen shot, Kizaru panicked. Tsunami. And it was a tsunami that directly covered the entire Marineford. The last second was calm, with nothing over Marineford except for some inexplicable dark clouds in the sky. In the next second, there are more monstrous waves. Panic, fear. Roar. The Marines were completely panicked. Even if they are the best of the best, picked from all over the world. The only thing I can guarantee at this moment is that I don't back down. Don't be afraid, Admiral is out. I do not know who shouted such a sentence. All the Marines noticed a figure suddenly appearing in the sky. It is Aokiji. Great, Aokiji shot. All Marines showed a relaxed expression. 083. The pirates showed an annoyed expression. Either Marine or pirate, they have all tacitly agreed that Aokiji can easily cope with the overwhelming tsunami. Since the old man has taken action, then let me move my body too. 5. Chen didn't look at Whitebeard beside him, shaking his head. There was a B********** G sound. Chen had already flown into the air. Who is that? Chen, Hongyan Chen, what is he doing? Do you mean to stop Aokiji? How is it possible that Aokiji Admiral can also touch porcelain? With Chen's shot, both Marine and Pirate went crazy for a while. Bang. But this has nothing to do with Chen. He was already in front of Aokiji. One punch. Aokiji's body collapsed and shattered directly. It looked like a shocking sight of punching an admiral to death, but no one was disbelieving. Because Aokiji is the owner of the Logia fruit. In this matter, not to mention that the people present are all elites at the level of world combat power. Even children in marginal areas and countries know things. If it were you, it's really troublesome. The broken ice cubes gradually expanded and merged with each other. Aokiji's figure appeared again. Looking at Chen, who was planning to stop him in front of him, there was a little helplessness in his eyes. If you stop me, most of the hundreds of thousands of people below will die. 99. Among them, it also includes your pirates. Aokiji's words are arguably correct. However, Chen just shrugged. He didn't care. Not to mention, there will definitely be someone else to stop you. All he had to do was to suppress Admiral, who had to send more than 2 men on the Marine side. What does this have to do with me? Anyway, the biggest loss is definitely Marineford, which is your naval headquarters. Talking. Chen was also a little helpless. Against other Devil Fruit, Chen's existing combat power can still be dealt with. But to deal with Logia's Devil Fruit, especially an admiral-level existence like Aokiji, Chen is completely helpless. This is not to say that Chen's strength is not enough. But because he has no way to effectively kill the opponent. In 2 years, that will all change. After realizing his weakness. However, Chen was not too disappointed. I can't have much influence on Logia Devil Fruit because I don't have much understanding of hockey. This will be completely eliminated after 2 years. Whether it is observation hockey or armament hockey, Chen will reach the top level in this world. As for the words of Conqueror's hockey. In fact, Chen didn't really care. Even at the back, there is the trick of Conqueror's entanglement. Conqueror's hockey is also not a real combat method, but a deterrent method. Of course, it is also useful for cleaning up trash. Don't interfere with other people's work, okay? At this moment, a slightly cheap voice sounded in Chen's ear. As for Aokiji, he ran in the direction of the tsunami again. As if he was coming. It was enough to make Chen unable to do anything. In fact, it is. Because this time it was another admiral who spoke. Kizaru. Pelusalino. Woo. Sounded. That's the kind of sound that can only be produced when the speed reaches the ultimate. Bang. 35. However, Kizaru's kick was blocked by Chen. Sparkling fruit, or the fruit of light, does not actually allow the user to have the speed of light 0. Instead, let his speed reach the limit that his body can reach. Otherwise, if Kizaru really has the speed of light, not to mention 3 admirals, he can easily kill anyone in this world. After all, the speed of light was easy enough for him to kill anyone without anyone reacting. Even Whitebeard is the same. After all, no one can reach the speed of light. With the speed of light, Kizaru can kill anyone according to his likes and dislikes under any circumstances, even without letting others know who killed him. As for tricks such as the speed of light, they are more of a gimmick. Otherwise, why can only someone with some strength be able to stop Kizaru's attack? Does it mean that everyone has the speed of light, or sub-light speed? This is obviously not possible. If the strength of One Piece can really reach this level, the world view has long been impossible to be limited to one planet. After all, spaceships that can fly away from the planet in the One Piece world have existed for hundreds of years. Hyundai also has Vegapunk, which is known as Master leading the world for 500 years. The movement speed of the speed of light level has already surpassed the super energy plane, reaching the strength level of the fantasy plane or the higher realm of the fantasy plane. How come? Kizaru looked at Chen in surprise. He came very carefully. It was still felt by Chen. Observation hockey. 1.3, not 35. Chen shook his head in denial. Although his current observation hockey has it is no different from not having it. He relied on the detection ability of Blood Wheel Eye. Although the detection ability of the blood wheel eye is far inferior to that of the white eye. But it is second only to the white eyes. The reason for the comparison is because the wife is too pervert in terms of white eye detection ability, not because the blood wheel eye is not good. On the contrary, blood wheel eye's detection ability is extremely outstanding. It's another force. Talking. Lu Chen felt the legs on his hands disappear. Next second, a golden light flashed in front of Lu Chen. Kizaru stood in front of Lu Chen. He's really an amazing little guy. At the same time, Aokiji had already reached the level of the tsunami. Hands out. Ice Age. Chapter 202. The Summit War begins, a desperate fight. Admiral's strength is unquestionable. As the name of Aokiji's trick was shouted, two icicles that seemed to be extremely tiny instantly traversed the entire Marineford under the control of Aokiji. Just momentarily, it froze the monstrous wave that almost engulfed Marineford. Not only that, even the surrounding waters were completely frozen. Port, island, everything within the range visible to the naked eye is completely frozen. 99. Amazing. 9. For a moment, the Marines cheered. Such a huge, majestic scene. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Admiral is Admiral, this power is still terrifying. 99. In this world where strength is heaven, strength is your best memo. At this moment, even the pirates have to admit that Aokiji is powerful. At the same time, there are two more people in the sky. That's Lu Chen and Kizaru. The two sides stand opposite each other. At the moment when the attack was blocked by Lu Chen, Kizaru had already roughly understood Lu Chen's strength. Blood-red pupils. What a horrible look. Well, O2 is afraid. Is it so familiar? Hearing Kizaru's words, Lu Chen was a little speechless. When I watched it myself, I only felt that Kizaru was so strong and powerful. But to myself, it is pain, especially the one from Kizaru. Some disgusting voices were spoken in extremely exaggerated tones. The sarcasm is directly full. Of course Lu Chen knew that this was Kizaru's psychological warfare, the purpose of which was to use his voice to disrupt his opponent. In the duel of masters, a distraction can decide the outcome of a match. Not to mention being D off. Take a few deep breaths. Lu Chen calmed down, looking at Kizaru in front of him with interest. You don't think such interference can work on me, right? I don't know if it's disapproval, or if Kizaru can't change it. Kizaru didn't show much emotion for Lu Chen's words. Shrugged slightly, Kizaru looked at Lu Chen. What are you talking about? Why can't I understand it? Talk to see. What a cliched line. Lu Chen smiled and didn't respond. Now is not the time for them to take action. Turn around and leave. Back to Whitebeard's side again and all in one go. There was no chance for Kizaru to speak again. Brothers, isn't this the land we need? Aokiji's Ice Age was indeed a relief from the tsunami crisis. But that huge freezing force also completely freezes the seawater below. The water under the Moby DK was completely frozen. This new land created by ice is directly connected to Marineford's land. At this time, many pirates have already jumped off the boat. Excited to jump back and forth on the ice. In order to completely defend against the tsunami, Aokiji directly exerted the ability of frozen fruit to the limit. Even the ice layer connected to the sea is more than 10 meters thick. Not to mention these pirates. Even if Oz, who has the blood of an ancient giant, is alive, he can play and run and jump here. Enough for the pirates to use this place as a springboard and a way to attack. Brothers, go. I don't know who made such a noise. The pirates were instantly excited. Save Ace. Save Ace. Relatively excited pirates. Marine's side was flustered a lot because of this. Aokiji's action really stopped the tsunami. But it also created a path for the pirates to attack Marineford. Don't be afraid, snipe them out, don't let them in Marineford. It's just a group of pirates, we are Marines, and we are the elite among Marines. At this time, whether it's Marines or pirates, the desire to fight was completely ignited. It's just that neither Sengoku nor Whitebeard played the command. Everyone can only hold back their hands. Go out and stop the pirates as far as possible off the land of Marineford. Sengoku ordered. He didn't expect such a thing to actually happen. However, he still wanted to do it. Having a very broad strategic depth is equivalent to having two options, forward and backward. Thinking about defense without even fighting is tantamount to suicide. Little ones, let's make a big fuss. Whitebeard also let go directly at this time. For a moment, Marine and the pirates are going crazy. Come on, kill. 99. Tens of thousands of Marines and tens of thousands of pirates ran frantically. This looks like an ordinary Marine and a pirate. In fact, they all possess the strength of dozens or even millions of bounties. The fight can be said to be extremely tragic. The troops on both sides were soon intertwined. The time for a pirate to blink has come to the back of a Marine. The fist wrapped in the air that represents the demon fruit power can concentrate and slammed into Marine's back. If this punch hits, the Marine will lose his combat effectiveness if he doesn't die. Such a fist, it can be said to shock everyone around. Certainly, it wasn't the pirates who were shocked. And everyone is an ordinary person, how did you become a demon fruit power? Such a similar thing happens in the occasional war zone. On weekdays, it is rare for millions of people to see a demon fruit power in the current Marine and pirate battles. Non-stop appearance. 083 Even these bottom pirate Marines are the same. As if, with 200 million Baileys, devil fruit, which is still invaluable, has become a popular commodity. Flame, water, ice, thunder. This common element is everywhere. There are also many strange abilities. Some people directly incarnate as animals. Obviously. Except for the rarest Logia devil fruit. Zone of the other two major lines and devil fruit of Paramesha have appeared. There are also places where they shine. Lu Chen. Just at this time, Whitebeard's voice rang in Lu Chen's ear. Although you and I only get along for a few days. 5. But you are indeed my family. Do not. Listening to Whitebeard's words, Lu Chen refused directly. Although he was really optimistic about Whitebeard, he really didn't want to be Whitebeard's son. It's good for us to be friends, although you can be my grandfather in terms of age. But letting me call you daddy still makes me uncomfortable. Gu la la la. Listening to Lu Chen's words, Whitebeard laughed wildly. You guys are quite interesting. 35. However, this time I don't want to talk about this, but I want to ask if you want to be the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Chapter 203 Whitebeard Pirates. Not uncommon. What? Listen to Whitebeard. Lu Chen was directly confused. The whole person showed a surprised expression. I said, what do you mean? Of course I intend to pass the position to you. Whitebeard said as he should. Although my ship is full of good boys, even Marco is not enough to guarantee the Whitebeard Pirates' status in the New World, let alone Ace and other young people. 39. To this, Lu Chen also nodded in agreement. Although it is said that Marco definitely has an Emperor's deputy, it is even very likely that he is considered a master among the Emperor's deputy. But if you want to keep the Whitebeard Pirates in the New World, a viceroy is obviously not enough. This can be seen even in the original book. After Whitebeard's death, the territory of the Whitebeard Pirates is almost completely lost. Although there is a reason for Blackbeard in it. But the real fundamental reason is that there is no Emperor-level powerhouse in the Whitebeard Pirates. Looking up at Whitebeard, Lu Chen's eyes showed a hint of surprise. So, if you think they can't grasp it, I can grasp it. Besides, you and I have only met for a few days, and you don't even know if there are more than 100 words together, so you believe me like that. Facing Lu Chen's question, the answer given by Whitebeard is very simple and easy to understand. Because you are strong enough, you may not be able to fully guarantee that the Whitebeard Pirates will still have the territory I was there, or at least keep most of it. Plus you're still young. After more than 10 years, or even a few years later, it is possible to surpass my influence on the sea. 99. Speaking of which, Whitebeard looked at Lu Chen from the direction of the battlefield. Eyes full of anticipation. Plus you're a good guy. 99. Definitely treat my family well. 35. Is it enough? Good guy. After blowing it for so long, my heart was moved, but you gave me a good person card. Heartbroken, of course it's true. After all, it was Whitebeard's compliment. The influence of the old era of the One Piece world has not been affected by the new era today. Whitebeard's compliment can be said to be the highest honor in the entire world. However, heart to heart, get him out of the Straw Hat Pirates. Leaving the Straw Hat Pirates aside for the time being, even if he was allowed to stay in the Straw Hat Pirates and then take over the Whitebeard Pirates, he wouldn't do it. Tired not to say, still no good. The main thing is, what Lu Chen wanted was freedom, and it was for this reason that he chose to join the Straw Hat Pirates instead of building a pirate group by himself. It's not bad to be an emperor. But it doesn't suit me. Thinking of this, Lu Chen raised his head to meet Whitebeard's eyes. Looking at Whitebeard slightly provocatively. If I say it's not uncommon, what do you think? PFF'd. Gu la la la. Hear Lu Chen's deliberately provocative words. Whitebeard laughed suddenly. Very loud sound. It even spread throughout Marineford. The battlefield, which had been fighting fiercely, was even attracted by Whitebeard's sudden laughter. Fights are much less. No matter who it was, even Aokiji and Kizaru, who had returned to their respective positions once again, turned their eyes to Whitebeard's direction. Should I say, as expected of someone I like. It's not uncommon for the Whitebeard Pirates. Not uncommon for the Whitebeard Pirates. Ooh. Whitebeard seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. Everyone bowed down with a smile. It's not that he didn't believe Lu Chen's words. This is not uncommon. From Lu Chen's expression, it can be seen that Lu Chen's thoughts are true. Nor was he laughing wildly out of anger. Instead, he laughed wildly at his own request. He would actually think that a person who reached the level of 4 emperors would accept the power of others. This is extremely stupid. Right now, a gust of wind whistled past. Lu Chen is very familiar with the feeling that comes from the compressive force. His eyes looked straight ahead. Sure enough, a meatball-shaped cannonball gradually approached. Look in the direction of this trick. Shang looked at Lu Chen's side expressionlessly. It looks pretty similar. Silently muttered a word. The bear's seemingly unfeeling appearance was obviously faked. From the moment that Lu Chen was able to obtain the meatball fruit ability, Shang has already mastered the training that Lu Chen gave him. Integrate the whole soul into the body of steel. Obviously not losing consciousness. What he's doing now is that he's just hiding himself. A red light flashed in his eyes. Activate his space. The pressure cannon represented by the meatball was directly involved in the Kamui space and completely disappeared. Huh, awesome. It's a pretty good ability. Seeing Lu Chen's Kamui, Whitebeard's eyes lit up. Suddenly, I thought of the trick Lu Chen used when the two just met. Backquote. You wanted to use it for me before, isn't that the one? Whitebeard remembers. At that time, Lu Chen's eyes were also slightly red. As for the fact that the two were separated by a few hundred meters, how did Whitebeard know? Of course it's impossible to say that his eyes are too good. It's just a perception from the breath plus his own inference. No. Lu Chen shook his head. The eyes were on Mihawk's body. The bear has already shot. Next is Shichibukai hands-on. So, someone who dares to take a shot at Whitebeard. Only him was left. The trick I was planning to deal with you was another. 35. The Kamui space is magical, but it's absolutely useless for you. 5. It's impossible to say. Whitebeard recalls the power of Uzumaki in Kamui space. He said thoughtfully, if the power of Uzumaki can be stronger and faster, maybe it will pose a threat to me. That's the point. Lu Chen shrugged. If I said I could make it faster and stronger, I would have done so. Over time, Marine's vice admirals all went down. To deal with Marine vice admirals, the captain and vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates also made their own shots. A time. On the ice in front of Marineford Beach, all players of the high, middle and low grades except the 4 emperors and admiral have appeared. Among them, there are some people who even the existence of the 4 emperors and admiral have a headache. You're going to shoot, to Whitebeard, at the same time. Moria looked at Mihawk not far away with surprise on her face. Certainly. There was war in Mihawk's eyes. Whitebeard is the strongest in this world, and this reason is enough to make one's heart move. Chapter 204 Mihawk comprehends, Luffy Buggy debuts. As a strong one. Moreover, it is the peak of the Emperor's deputy. It is already the Emperor's deputy peak where one foot has stepped into the Emperor's level, and the other foot is only one heel away. Mihawk has extremely demanding requirements on opponents. Now the only opponents he can look at are the top people in the world. Now he is still Shichibukai, Marine's 3 admiral, Sengoku and Garp will not be considered for now. Then only the 4 emperors remain. And among the 4 emperors, Kaido is a monster, and Ant is an existence purely based on ability, and he is not considered in it, because the battle with them is meaningless, and it will not bring any help to his strength improvement at all. Shanks is his friend again, and if you want to fight with him, you can do it anytime. So, the only option left was Whitebeard. And Whitebeard also shoulders the title of world number 1. Even if you know that you are not an opponent, even if you know that Whitebeard is afflicted with old illnesses, it will definitely not be of much benefit to try to compete with him. You must try it, and at least you must feel how strong the number 1 in the world is. That's why Mihawk promised world government to appear in Summit War. Of course. 35. Mihawk responded to Moria's question. The Supreme Swordsman 12 workers behind him, Yi has been unsheathed. Although he was responding to Moria's words, his 083 eyes never left Whitebeard. Even Lu Chen next to Whitebeard, the man who once defeated him, he didn't care. Brush. A sky-high slash appeared in an instant. Straight to Whitebeard. Pity. Even Mihawk's shot didn't make Whitebeard move. Diamond Yoja wanted to get rid of his opponent and came to Whitebeard to help stop it. However, he hadn't waited for him to make a move. Lu Chen's Kamui space reappears. The slash was directly rolled into the Kamui space. Unfortunately, you don't seem to be able to fight Whitebeard. See here. Moria couldn't help laughing. How is it? Do you want to continue shooting? This time, Mihawk didn't respond to Moria's words. His eyes fell on Lu Chen. This guy is still so strong. At this time, Mihawk has taken a step forward because of his previous fight with Lu Chen. I thought that my current self should be able to compare with Lu Chen. Now it seems, as if still not enough. Shaking his head slightly. At this time, Mihawk recalled ACBD, the site of the previous confrontation with Lu Chen. I found a little difference again. Put a smile on your face. Mihawk found his opportunity to step into the royal class. Who would have thought that a battle with Lu Chen made him realize twice in a row? Even for the second time, there is still the strength to break through to the Emperor level and set foot on the top of this world. Turning back without looking back. It didn't stop until the corner. This intention is already quite obvious. I have already shot, but the opponent is too strong, I can't help it. Dream. The rest is up to you. Hey, where are you going? Moria's eyes were full of surprise when she saw Mihawk's action. He knew that most of Shichibukai were pulled by Marine reluctantly, except for Shang, who could not see through. No one wanted to face Whitebeard. But this eagle eye is too. Be perfunctory. This performance, let alone to the satisfaction of Marine. Marine is already burning high incense if he is not angry. Yo-hoo, right now, from behind the frozen tsunami ice in Marineford, a boat suddenly flew in. An enemy. Reinforcements from Whitebeard. 35. A time. All the Marines were nervous. The Whitebeard pirates have mastered most of the New World. Naturally, the people who came this time could not be all of them. There should be a backhand. Plus because of the Ice Age. The warships and Marines outside are almost useless. It is not too surprising that pirates can enter Marineford. What? The ship lands. It was directly broken in half. The people inside were safe and sound. When Marine and the pirates saw the people on the boat, they were dumbfounded. Supernova, Straw Hat Luffy. President of Baroque Works, former Sir Crocodile of Shichibukai. King of the S*********** Kingdom, Ivankov. Once West Blues. Quote. The figures of the people on the boat and the prisoners gradually appeared. The Marines and the pirates gradually recognized the people inside. Surprised, everyone looked at what was happening in front of them in disbelief. How did these people get together? Fear, fear. The Marines near where Luffy's boat landed couldn't help but back away. However, are they okay to back off? Obviously not possible. Fist-like raindrops fell, sand filled the sky, death winks wildly unleashed. It seems to be everywhere, like a blade-like piece of meat. Luffy, Buggy, Crocodile, Ivankov all shot, just strangling the surrounding Marines like pigs and dogs in a slaughterhouse. After it's over, Luffy looked around. After seeing Lu Chen, a little surprise appeared in his eyes. But, he couldn't care about Lu Chen at this time. The sight continued to scan. After seeing Ace on the execution platform, his eyes lit up. Ace, I'm here to save you. 99. Sure enough, it was Whitebeard's reinforcements. As soon as I heard Luffy's words, all Marines were energized. Marine executives such as Sengoku, Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, etc. turned their attention to Whitebeard. According to intelligence, the main activities of the Whitebeard pirates have always been in the New World. Occasionally, some people appear in the Four Seas or on the Grand Line, and they are all in a hurry. Essentially, they are not out to expand the business, but to complete the task. Arguably, there shouldn't be too much contact with the new generation of pirates. The Straw Hat Luffy, how did he get in touch? And the others, how did Whitebeard get in touch? Confuse. Unknown. Next is vigilance. Sengoku looked at his old rival below. His brows were furrowed into buns. The sight shifted again, and finally landed on Lu Chen. He doesn't know how strong Lu Chen is, but at least it's a level that can entangle an admiral. Coupled with the Whitebeard pirates, follow-up reinforcements. He found that his old opponent was even more powerful than he thought. This is of course Sengoku thinking too much. Whether in the original book or now, Luffy is only here to save Ace, and has nothing to do with Whitebeard at all. As for the others, it's just following Luffy down from Impel. Ace, wait for me to save you. Chapter 205. Ace burst into tears, a completely crazy world. Seeing that Ace was still alive, Luffy's face showed excitement. Because of Lu Chen, Luffy's strength has risen to a level that cannot be reached at this stage, and naturally he has not experienced the hardships in the original work. At this point he wasn't taking Ivankov's short-lived hormonal injections like adrenaline. His mental state can be said to be surprisingly good. In the original, even if the body is already broken, it will not turn back. Not to mention that he is still in good health and in good spirits. Ace, I'm here to save you. Look at Ace. Even on the execution stand, where he was about to be killed, Luffy didn't care. After all, he had done the absurd thing of voluntarily ascending to the torture platform. Who is this kid? On the bow of the Moby DK, Whitebeard's eyes fell on Lu Chen's body. Just now, Luffy even passed by himself directly, but stopped on Lu Chen's body for a while. Think for a moment. Whitebeard thought of the pirate ship that Lu Chen was on. Is he your captain? That's right. Lu Chen nodded. Although it is said that it completely crushes Luffy in strength, even the rest of the Straw Hat pirates are added together. But, some things, it's really not a matter of strength. Look at Whitebeard. Of course Lu Chen knew what he wanted to ask. He is not only my captain, but also Ace's sworn brother, and the grandson of your old rival Garp, whose full name is Monkey D. Luffy. Is it? D. Again. Listening to Lu Chen's words, Whitebeard nodded knowingly. He showed a thoughtful expression. He recalled the familiar figures one by one in his mind. The will of D. This is the will of that person. Similarly, it is also a statement that has become more and more popular in recent years. Although Whitebeard scoffed at this, after all, this is just a superstitious statement, and there is no real evidence to support the authenticity of this statement. However, the people of the will of D seem to have some magic power, and many major events are really related to the people of the will of D. Even, most of the big events are created by the so-called will of D. Eyes raised slightly, Whitebeard turned his attention to Ace on the execution stand. Although he does not believe in fate. But Whitebeard couldn't deny that the will of D was the most mysterious, even a little evil thing. He is also in need of something. It can be seen that the two brothers have a very good relationship. It's not just great. Lu Chen also turned his eyes away. But unlike Whitebeard, he was looking in Luffy's direction. The two of them can die for each other without any impurity. 5. It's not that blood is thicker than water, but it is better than a brother whose blood is thicker than water. Oh, in this regard, Whitebeard also showed an interested expression. It's the same with the kids on my boat. Same. Not the same. The friendship on the Whitebeard pirates is indeed heavier, but there are still some people who come for your Whitebeard reputation, and there are definitely not a few such people. If not, the power of Whitebeard, even if it loses the Emperor-level powerhouse, it is absolutely impossible for it to be divided up by Blackbeard in just 2 years. There are other 4 Emperors, shots, and Blackbeard's powerful plunder. Among them, there are definitely Betrayal fueling the flames. Luffy. Ace watched Luffy suddenly appear on the execution stand. The whole person is not well. He could feel Luffy getting stronger. But it definitely didn't reach the stage of being able to participate in the Summit War. At this time, even with Seastone on it, behind him were 2 executioners who could kill him at any time. Ace still tried to move forward a few times. Pity. His actions were immediately stopped by the executioner. Ace, who was chained by Seastone, didn't even have the ability to resist. But, he didn't care anymore. Looking at Luffy's figure, his eyes were full of worries about his brother's safety. Luffy, I don't care about you. You leave now. How could I leave you alone? Listen to Ace. Luffy responded without hesitation. You are going to be killed now, how could I watch you go to death like this? At this time, Marine and pirates are thoroughly mixed together. The two sides fought fiercely. Life, every minute and every second is passing. Zero. Ask for flowers. Even the reality of the fall of those with fruit power has begun to appear. You are my brother. Luffy's voice spread throughout Marineford. A time, everyone was shocked to know Ace's identity was just announced to the world before. He is the offspring of Sin, the only man who has ascended the throne. The most influential figure in the whole One Piece world, causing the era of great sailing. One Piece, son of Gall D. Roger, Portgas D. Ace. How is that possible? Could it be that One Piece has two sons? This is big news. A time, both the pirates and Marine were shocked. Zero. This scene also happened to be recorded by the video phone bug and broadcast to the whole world, causing an uproar in the whole world. Not really. Just at this time, a moderate voice sounded. In the voice, you can even hear the weakness and powerlessness in it. Shadow. A man came out of Marineford. Garp Vice Admiral. It's Garp Vice Admiral. 5. Damn it, it's the hero, Garp. This Marine is really willing to invest his money. Did he transfer all the experts in the entire Marine? A time. Garp's appearance once again detonated everyone. Marine's aura rose again, but on the contrary, the pirates were slightly panicked. This moment, the pirates, who were originally on the offensive, were vaguely suppressed by Marine at this time, and even turned to attack the vicinity of the Moby DK where Whitebeard was. This is the celebrity effect, the ability to change the tide of battle without expending any resources. Garp. The highest point. Sengoku looked at Garp. There was a hint of shame and guilt in his eyes. It's okay. Garp didn't see anything wrong with the old friend's decision. Although tormented, however, the responsibility lies. He also has no choice. And, whether it is the fall of Ace, or the fall of Whitebeard, he is qualified and obliged to see it with his own eyes. Walk out slowly. Garp walked to the front step by step. This straw hat boy, Luffy, is actually my grandson. Chong. Chapter 206 Ancient Blood, Super Giant. This. Look at Garp. Even Lu Chen didn't know what to say for a while. I also recalled the scene when I watched One Piece, in my mind. Garp is not a great companion, but definitely a very nice family member. Nerve strips. You can move your hands and never move your mouth. First physical persuasion, and then do other plans. It has always been his dream to have two grandchildren as Marines. After all, his proud son has become the world government's #1 public enemy and the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Grandchildren, you can't go wrong again. But, the world just loves to make fun of people. Backfire is the norm. Garp's grandson, and two grandsons, all became pirates. Shaking his head slightly, although it's a bit poor for Garp. But things are already like this, 083, and, Lu Chen doesn't think this blow can make people like Garp decadent. Achieve transfer. Lu Chen looked in Whitebeard's direction. There was a playful look in his eyes. Ace can be regarded as Garp's grandson. 5. And Ace calls you daddy. That is to say, your old rival directly overwhelmed you in terms of seniority. Damn it. Whitebeard also understood. There was also an angry expression on Garp's face. This old B********************* D. 9. Although angry, but Whitebeard was still a little emotional when he saw Garp's appearance. His son and two grandsons became enemies with him. Such pain. Whitebeard couldn't feel it, but he knew the sadness. What? The Straw Hat is Garp's grandson. Just now, the Straw Hat boy seems to be called Ace brother. Could it be that One Piece is actually Garp Vice Admiral? B******************** D. What are you thinking? Garp Vice Admiral and Roger are two people. So, what the hell is going on here? 35. A time. The world is in chaos again. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change in the answer. They do not know the reason and process of the matter, and it is impossible to understand the result. That's how it is. Garp looked around, obviously not going to continue talking. Turned around and walked directly to the three admirals' position. Just now, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates came off, and Marine's side also dispatched Admiral, Vice Admiral, and Shichibukai. The admiral's place was vacant, even if the position is just a vice admiral. Without any hesitation, he went straight in and sat down. This obvious overstepping action did not have any sense of disobedience in the eyes of these Marine elites and pirate elites. If it is the location, one of Marine's trump cards is the Marine hero who defeated Rock's pirate. Garp could get any position except Martial Marine if he wanted to. The reason why Martial Marine was not his turn was only because of his character, not his lack of strength. At a time when Admiral had to go out to fight, Garp was sitting in the position that belonged to Admiral. This is enough to see Garp's place in Marine. It is no exaggeration to say that it is Marine's Dinghai Shenzhen. Ace. Right now. A loud, ear-piercing voice sounded. A figure came in from outside Marineford. That's right. Just walked in. It was a huge body that was much higher than the Marineford city wall, and it immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Ancient bloodline, ancient giant clan. See this man. Lu Chen also showed a shocked expression. Such a huge body, as long as it is high MI, it is impossible to understand. With a height of 38 meters, little Oz with the blood of ancient giants. Although Lu Chen said that he had seen it countless times. But after actually seeing it from the front, still feeling shocked. 38 meters tall. According to the calculation of 3 meters per floor, he is also approximately equal to the height of 13 floors. Huge height, huge body. Even if you don't practice, you will have more power than the elite vice admiral just by relying on your own growth. This should be the last ancient giant in this world, right? Whitebeard nodded. There was also a complicated look in his eyes. It's not that he didn't think about letting Oz continue his bloodline. Unfortunately, even the strongest giant woman, it was impossible to bear little Oz at all. And little Oz did not have the idea of passing the blood down. In the end, just give up. This is one of my most obedient kids and one of my favorite kids. Speaking of which, Zero. Whitebeard paused for a moment. Little Oz's body represents his arrival, and it is impossible to return alive. This is naval headquarters after all. He knew this. Little Oz knew it too. But little Oz still came, and he came without hesitation. His relationship with Ace is very good. It can be seen. Lu Chen nodded. The whole person also showed an expression of emotion. War is like that, cruel and dangerous. Casualties were clearly unavoidable. But it's impossible to let Marine kill Ace out of fear of casualties. This is a war that the Marine, or the world government, carefully planned and cannot avoid. All Whitebeard had to do was get Ace out. Even sacrificing your own life. No, it should be said that he traded his own life for Ace's life. Shanks had told him before that Shanks entrusted his future to Luffy. Whitebeard's future is Ace. Shanks was able to give up his sword-wielding arm for Luffy. He had already prepared to give up his life the moment he learned that Ace was caught. Ace, I'm coming. Compared to when Luffy appeared, Oz's appearance was obviously more eye-catching. After all, his height and size are there. Anyone who doesn't want to see it can see it. Shouting Ace's name over and over again, little Oz walked in the direction of the execution platform like a machine that opened the way. When the other pirates saw this, their eyes lit up, and they followed in the footsteps of little Oz. Damn it, follow me. Just at this time, the 7 giants Vice Admiral came directly to little Oz. These giants, Vice Admiral, have the strength of the elite Vice Admiral. It is also because of the bloodline and size of the giant, which has a terrifying power that ordinary people cannot even understand. Clang, bang, 35. However, such a strong man. After holding little Oz with a knife, he just held on for a while, and then he was bounced out. In terms of strength, little Oz even crushed it. In this situation, it seems that Oz used his advantage to achieve a crushing effect on Marine, but in fact, because of Oz's size, he became a living target for Marine. Lu Chen said, I'll take the shot. Chapter 207. You still want to sneak attack with me? Little Oz's strength lies in his invincibility. In pure power competition, even the existence of Whitebeard, Garp, Kaido is not necessarily his opponent. But his weaknesses are also obvious. Too slow. Coupled with the huge size, it is impossible to avoid the shells coming from all directions. Little Oz will only be a human target on Marineford, which has been transformed into a mechanical fortress. Put up the fortifications. 99. Faced with such a sudden situation, even Sengoku had a headache. Even though Oz's pros and cons are obvious. However, they still had nothing to do with him for a while. Can only continue to start the whole card. Boom. Boom. A series of voices rang out. High walls were erected directly throughout Marineford. This is no ordinary fence, but huge steel plates. The material is exactly the same as the World Gate. If the steel plate is completely connected, even little Oz, it is absolutely impossible to force a breakthrough, let alone others. Little Oz, come on, don't let this wall O2 keep us out. 95. Yes, if we are locked up, not only will we not be able to save Ace this time, but everyone will have to explain it here. A time. The pirates panicked. They turned to Oz for help. Hopefully little Oz can break through to naval headquarters before the wall seals them off at Marineford. No matter how strong the fort is, there is a switch. As long as the pirates occupy naval headquarters, then this iron barrel formation can be broken through with just one button. It is good. Little Oz agreed. His eyes never left Ace's body. He still remembers the moment when Ace gave him the straw hat. It was the happiest day since he was born. Oh, listen to Lu Chen. There was a look of surprise in Whitebeard's eyes. His eyes turned to Lu Chen's direction. I thought you were just here to join in the fun. Are you really planning to take action? Certainly. Lu Chen responded. Didn't I do it before? What Lu Chen was referring to was preventing Aokiji from freezing the tsunami. Although it was said that the result was a failure, it was blocked by Kizaru. But it has already started. And, I just happen to have the strength to participate in such a lively thing. 5. If only to watch, or to do a little favor. Isn't it a little too boring? Goo la la la. Hear what Lu Chen said. Whitebeard laughed. Sure enough, you kid is my type. Go. 35. Whitebeard looked in the direction of little Oz, with worry in his eyes. I'm also worried about little Oz, this kid is too stubborn. 35. However, his current opponent is the 7 Giants Vice Admiral. According to the strength bonus of the Giants, these 7 people are all elite Vice Admiral. If the 7 people cooperate, even Admiral can only temporarily avoid the edge. Are you really confident? If I don't have confidence, how can I possibly make a move? Lu Chen did not respond directly to Whitebeard's words, but instead asked a question. And, my ability is just restrained against this kind of brute force. I don't really care about the 7 of them. Speaking of which. Out of the corner of Lu Chen's vision, he caught sight of a man with jagged teeth. The restless heart stopped for a while. However, before that, I have to help you solve the traitor's affairs. The traitor thing. Hear this from Lu Chen. Everyone was stunned. Especially the man with the jagged teeth who was already standing behind Whitebeard at this time. What are you saying? Hear what Lu Chen said. An unpleasant look appeared on Whitebeard's face. As you can imagine, if he hadn't faced Marine now, he would definitely attack Lu Chen with a thunderous method. Whitebeard pirates, no one is allowed to slander. You say so, Great Vortex Spider, Squad. Lu Chen was too lazy to pay attention to them. The Whitebeard pirates have their own way of getting along, but this has nothing to do with Lu Chen. Squad looked at Lu Chen's eyes and was obviously a little flustered, and his words were a little awkward. You, what are you talking about? Actually, Squad's acting is not very good. Everyone noticed that he was different. It's just because the Whitebeard pirates have always gotten along well. So no one doubted him. Lu Chen, too much. 35. At this time. Whitebeard also frowned and said, Squad is my child, and has been with me for decades, how could he betray me? Whitebeard opened his mouth to question. Others are completely unhappy. Everyone turned their attention to Lu Chen, and the unkind expression seemed to cut Lu Chen into 1,000 pieces. Hey, to this. Lu Chen is naturally angry when he is angry, and it is false to say that he is not angry. But I also think they are quite cute, which means that I completely trust my companions. I hate Squad too. 50 years old, he is still a big pirate with a bounty of over 200 million. He was even deceived by Akainu's few words. I really don't know if he was spoiled by Whitebeard. Tell me, why did you attack Whitebeard? While talking. Lu Chen's eyes glowed strangely red. Direct control of Squad. Whitebeard knows this trick of Lu Chen's illusion. When the two met for the first time, Lu Chen used this trick to test him 083. At this time, I saw Lu Chen shot at his subordinates. There was already a look of displeasure in his eyes. Akainu said Daddy was going to trade our lives for Ace. 5. Next second, the anger in Whitebeard's eyes completely dissipated. He looked at Squad in disbelief. Also understand what this means. Control the tricks of others. What did you do to me? Next second, Lu Chen has lifted the illusion. He looked around provocatively. At this time, the members of the Whitebeard pirates who were seen by Lu Chen lowered their heads in shame. At this time, they still don't understand what's going on. Then they really have lived in vain for decades. With me here, you still want to carry out a sneak attack. Squad's illusion was lifted, but his memory did not disappear. His face instantly turned pale. With a bit of sophistry, he said, Father, don't believe his nonsense. How could I sneak up on you? Ha ha, Whitebeard sneered. In the original, he couldn't find it not because Squad's disguise was good enough. It was his absolute trust in the people in his pirate group. At this time, after learning the accurate betrayal news, just by feeling Squad's current aura a little, you can know the truth. Chapter 208 Lu Chen shot, 1 hit 7. Hash. Squad looked terrified. The whole person involuntarily stepped back. But, soon he couldn't go back. Pirates were already standing behind him. They don't understand why Whitebeard is so nice to them all. Squad would do the same to Whitebeard. Why Squad betrayed Whitebeard? It turned out to be a betrayal of the family. Such guilt is unforgivable. Whitebeard radiated anger. Even, the ability of shock fruit has been activated in a vague way. Even so, you are still my child. But, just when the emotion has been rendered in place. When Squad himself felt that he was going to die. Whitebeard hugged him. In a slightly gentle tone, he said, I didn't give you enough security. Good guy, can you still hold the black pot like this? See here, Lu Chen also had some scalp tingling. If it is your own words. It is absolutely impossible to forgive Squad. Killing Squad without torturing Squad is his greatest tenderness. How things are resolved is your business. I went to play first. 35. Seeing the intimacy of the Whitebeard pirates, Lu Chen shrugged. The whole person has already flown out. In a blink. It was already in front of Little Oz. Kaden Kyokatsu's long sword was already in his hands. Clang. A metallic humming sound rang out. Lu Chen's knife directly blocked the knife that slashed at Little Oz. Even if it is a giant, and it is a giant power of Vice Admiral level. Lu Chen still didn't lose. Vaguely, it was even a little stronger than what he meant. How is this possible? The giant Vice Admiral felt the strength of the hand, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Nothing is impossible. If there is, then your knowledge is not enough. Lu Chen responded coldly. Talking. Lu Chen added strength again. He even cut the long knife in the hands of the giant Vice Admiral into 2 pieces. Kaden Kyokatsu's knife, and then fill in a ray of ghost. Brother, how is that possible? 95. The remaining 6 giants, Vice Admiral, were stunned when they saw this scene. The 7 of them can almost be said to be brothers and sisters. Joined the army at the same time and advanced together. Even the time for promotion to military rank is almost the same. Although it is said that because of the promotion of positions, the 7 people cannot always be together because of their respective tasks. However, the separation did not interfere with the friendship of the 7. On the contrary, it became more and more close. At this time, a brother died in front of him like this. This directly drove the other 6 giants vice admiral almost crazy. Chen didn't pay attention to them, but reminded the people on his side first. Little Oz, you go first. It is good. Little Oz said nothing. Chen, he knew. Although he was not on the Moby DK, where Whitebeard was, the Whitebeard pirates were still connected to each other. Chen is the most frequently talked about topic in the recent period of time and a concoction to soothe Ace's feeling of being arrested. In the eyes of the Whitebeard pirates, people who Whitebeard recognizes are people who can be trusted. This is the prestige that Whitebeard has built among the Whitebeard pirates for decades. Boom, boom, a time. Little Oz rushed straight towards the place that was not surrounded by iron plates. At this time, he had no idea how many shells had been hit. Although it is not as miserable as the original book when it was besieged by the 7 giants vice admiral. But it is also precarious, and I don't know when it will fall. He wants to take advantage of his own consciousness. He wants to rush over to save Ace while he can still lead the way for everyone in the Whitebeard pirates. Ace. Monstrous anger. A moving roar resounded throughout Marineford again. No one will doubt. At this time, Little Oz could not reach Ace. Don't go. We're still here. When the remaining 6 giants, Vice Admiral, saw this, they immediately followed. But they can't move, because Chen had stood in front of them. A few. I just saw your expressions as if you had a good relationship with the dead giant Vice Admiral. If that's the case, why don't you go down and accompany him? Red Eye, Chen. A giant, Vice Admiral, watched Chen grit his teeth. He thought that the reward of 500 million Bailey was too small. Being able to kill the giant Vice Admiral means being able to kill the elite Vice Admiral. Chen's strength is at least at the level of a deputy emperor, and this is only a conservative estimate by the giant Vice Admiral himself. His bounty. At least 2 billion Baileys or more should be right. I haven't heard this title for a long time. Chen nodded and did not deny his identity. Out of the corner of the eye, he glanced in the direction of Little Oz. This time, it is with him to help stop the 7 giants Vice Admiral. Little Oz was not seriously mortally wounded, although it was also a bit shaky due to the attack of shells and bullets. But it's much better than the original, as long as no accident happens. Before Little Oz reaches Ace, it is already a sure thing. Backquote. Since you all know me, I don't need to introduce myself. Chen flicked Kaden Kyokutsu in his hands. A crisp sound rang out. As for your words, I'm not interested in getting to know you. Talking room. In Chen's eyes, the pattern representing Mangekyo turned. The illusion has been activated. Damn it, don't look him in the eyes. Soon, someone responded. But, how could this be a defense against Chen's illusion? The remaining 6 Vice Admiral responded quickly though. But they have also been recruited. Next second, Chen walked past a giant, Vice Admiral. He has fallen down. It was only 2 minutes before the death of the last giant, Vice Admiral. If the speed of Chen's killing is calculated separately. In 5 seconds, you can take down a giant Vice Admiral. Horrible, totally unstoppable, even the most brave and least afraid of Death Giant clan. Even the elite giant Vice Admiral, who was systematically trained in Marine. At this time, they also felt a little fear. The remaining 5 people, far from attacking, even started to defend back to back. Aren't you? 5 against 1, and it is the most violent, heroic, and unmistakable 5 giants strong against 1 person. Can't even fight back, even start active defense. Damn it, damn it. Meanwhile, Sengoku looked at the approaching Little Oz with anger written all over his face. Since that's the case, then I'm the only one who will do it myself. Bye. Chapter 209. The death of Little Oz, Chen's killing begins. Sengoku is also helpless. At this time, he had no other cards in his hand. Or, that whole card cannot be used. Thought here. Sengoku looked at Garp, who was sitting on the seat of Admiral looking down on what was happening below. Hesitation was on his face. Even if you do it yourself. Also try not to let Garp get involved. Garp was just a security he asked for some at war. Garp must not be shot unless it is absolutely necessary. This can be regarded as the last kindness of an old friend. Little Oz. Sengoku looked at Little Oz. The whole body gradually glows. The body gradually expands. A Sengoku in the shape of a golden Buddha appeared throughout the battlefield. Obviously plead guilty and obey the law, you can still live. If not, I will kill you with my own hands. Human fruit, phantom beast, and Buddha form. This is Sengoku's devil fruit. The change in size and shape increases his attack and defense several times. And this ultra-long-range shock-wave attack. At this moment, Sengoku's eyes fell on Little Oz below. He is also hesitant. Little Oz is probably the only one left in the ancient giant clan. If not necessary, he really doesn't want to be this dead butcher. How is this possible? Little Oz was so tall that he even lowered his head in front of Sengoku, who was standing above Marineford. Little Oz scoffed at Sengoku's proposal, with a crazy look in his eyes. I want to save Ace back. Ace belongs to the sea, and he will be king of the sea. How could it be possible for him to die at your hands now? Talking room. Little Oz has stepped out of the iron plate. This move of Sengoku's iron plate formation failed again. Behind the iron plate is Marineford. Little Oz became the first member of the Whitebeard pirates to set foot in Marineford. In that case, hear what Little Oz said. Sengoku took a deep breath. A decision has been made in my heart. That is to completely kill Oz. Since you don't want to live anymore, then I will fulfill you. Talking room. Sengoku's hand has already clapped Little Oz. It seemed like an ordinary wave of hands. In fact, it is completely different from perception. Sengoku's hand is now gradually enlarged, and then enlarged. In the end, it actually penetrated Little Oz directly. Certainly, it's not really penetrating. This big hand is just the product of the energy incarnation. Wow, a mouthful of blood spurted out. Facing the crisis of Sengoku. Little Oz couldn't hold on with just one move. This is of course the strength of Sengoku. However, this is just one of the reasons. The real reason. Or because Little Oz had endured an unknown number of rounds of Marlin's multi-weapon ammunition salvos. Although these injuries were not fatal, the cumulative damage was extremely high. PFF'd. Boom. 35. The sound of heavy objects falling to the ground sounded. Little Oz fell directly to the ground. Whether in the original book or now. Little Oz never had contact with Ace again. Even the location of death is the same. Ace growled in pain. The whole person is facing a situation that is about to collapse. So, I asked your brothers to join the army in the first place. 5. A slightly old, frustrated voice sounded. A figure appeared on the execution platform. It was Garp. Grandfather. Ace was taken aback at Garp's voice. Turn your head to look. A look of surprise appeared on his face. Grandfather. Grandfather. I promise you, I'll be a Marine. Go and save Little Oz. As long as I save Little Oz, I'll do whatever you say. Hey. Hearing Ace's words, Garp sighed. Slightly unbearable, he asked. Do you think that Sengoku has taken action? Does he still have a chance to survive? Hear Garp say that. Ace's voice for help stopped. ACBD, the whole person showed a decadent expression. So, I told you to be a Marine. With me here, it's still the official government. Even if you were Roger's son, I could save you. Looking at Garp's pained expression, Ace was silent. Deep in his eyes, there is a little regret. That's right. Ace regretted it. I really regret it at this moment. He had no doubts about what Garp said. Ace's face showed a little helplessness. However, it has happened. 35. Quote. It's impossible to be a Marine again. A time fell silent. It's hard to convince myself to come to Ace. Garp, who had planned to say goodbye to Ace, was at a loss for words at this time, and he didn't know what to say for a while. UB************. D. Sudden. Garp ran wild. A punch hit Ace in the head. This punch just let Ace lie on the execution platform. Pain spread all over the body instantly. Ace laughed out loud at this time. Grandpa's fist is still so heavy. The sea in front of Marineford, the sea frozen by Aokiji. At this time, Chen looked at the 5 giants vice admiral in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. After a period of adjustment, they have raised the will to fight again. They drew out their weapons. Aimed at Chen again. On the battlefield. At this time, 3 places were formed that neither the Marine nor the pirates wanted to come. Huang Yuan and Marco. One of them is light, and the other is a phoenix. The battle between fire and light, if it is affected, is either death or destruction. There is also the greatest safety zone between the two of them. After all, whether it is light or the fire of the phoenix, the attack range is extremely large. Second place. It's the battle between Diamond Yoja and Aokiji. Diamond Yoja's almost invincible defense, even with Aokiji's shot, could not be taken down for a while. The two have reached a certain level of balance at this time. Aokiji couldn't help Joes. Joes can only passively defend. The third is not the battle between Akainu and the Whitebeard pirates. Akainu no one knew where he was at this time. The third location is Chen here. The destructive power of the giant vice admiral has forced the others to disperse. Plus an absolute powerhouse capable of beheading the giant vice admiral with ease. This battlefield is the one they don't want to mix in. Especially Marine. Because in the first 2 places, Marine Admiral has the upper hand. And this place, it is the pirate Chen who has the upper hand. Although it hasn't shown up yet. But the results are already obvious. Brothers, even in the face of Admiral, if we rush up together, we can take a layer of skin off them. At this time, a giant, Vice Admiral, stood up. Red-eyed Chen is just a pirate in the final analysis, everyone come with me. Chapter 210 Killing 7 people in a row, Chen shocked the world. Good guy. Looking at the giant Vice Admiral in front of him, Chen smiled. Laughed at. He is a man who has defeated Mihawk, the greatest swordsman in the world, has a small victory over the 4 emperors Shanks, tied with the Revolutionary Army leader Long, and briefly fought against Whitebeard. It's just like being said by mere Vice Admiral, even if it is said that this Vice Admiral is the giant Vice Admiral, it can be said that he is the most elite group of Vice Admiral, and it is a little bit angry to face 5 people at one time. Looking at the talking giant Vice Admiral, Chen asked with great interest, where did your confidence come from? Where did it come from? There is no place to come. If you don't boost morale like this, is it really just turning your head and running away? In war, life and death are inevitable. They can be said to be generals. If they all run away, so what about the Marines below? Of course he also ran away. The generals and soldiers have all fled, so is the war still going to be fought? Without further ado, the talking giant, Vice Admiral, was clearly the leader of the five. Try it in his eyes. The five people scattered directly around Lu Chen. They realized that Lu Chen's speed and strength were stronger than their own. The two people killed by Lu Chen didn't have much difference in their strength. There is a gap between the 7 people, but the gap is definitely not too much. Since Lu Chen can kill the other 2 in seconds, then, you can kill any of them in seconds. Now, the strength and speed on their side are completely behind. Yes, there is only an advantage in the number of people. So, we must make full use of this advantage. Spread out and attack at the same time. This made Lu Chen overwhelmed, and that was the solution they came up with. It's a good way. At this time, Lu Chen attracted the attention of both marine and pirates. Sengoku looked at the 5 giants, Vice Admiral, slightly worried. This is the background of their marine. After death, it takes time and money to cultivate it again, and it cannot be accomplished overnight. But, at this time, he could not let them retreat. Otherwise, what do other people think? What do you think of the dead Marines, Marine Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral? However, it still feels a little dangerous. For Lu Chen, the Admiral level has been directly mentioned here in Sengoku. His strength is unquestionable. The standard of seeing people is also world class. It can be seen in Lu Chen's ability to kill the giant Vice Admiral in seconds. Lu Chen's strength is at least the Emperor's deputy level. The second time can also spike. Then at least it has reached the Admiral level. As for whether to reach the level of the 4 Emperors, there is no conclusion for Sengoku for the time being. I hope you won't be too impulsive, and save your life. Sengoku's thinking at this point is simple. That is to wait for Akainu to come back and let Akainu restrain Lu Chen. Gu la la la. Unlike Sengoku, which can only use guesswork. Whitebeard has completed a simple fight with Lu Chen, and has a clear understanding of Lu Chen's strength. Royal class. And they are considered masters among the emperors. Looking at Lu Chen on the battlefield, Whitebeard smiled and moved his gaze to Luffy who was beside him. Luffy is the same as Ace. Is a very attractive person. But, compared to Ace, who had already reached the high level of Shichibukai, and even said that he had stepped into the Emperor's deputy level with half a foot, his strength at this time was really far behind. From Captain Luffy, you can roughly see the strength of the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates. Amazing, with great potential. However, they have not been released yet, they can only be regarded as little pirates. After a slight calculation, Whitebeard said slowly, "Boy, don't reveal too much, otherwise, it will only cause trouble to your captain and friends." Go. Just when Whitebeard, the leader of the pirate side, and Sengoku, the leader of the marine side, were commenting. At this time, the 2 sides on the battlefield have already moved. The 5 giants Vice Admiral went berserk. Sengoku's prayers are obviously useless. The unknown giant Vice Admiral rushed directly to Lu Chen. Kill. 35. Good come. Blood Wheel Eye was opened to ultimate by Lu Chen. The entire person's field of vision is instantly clear countless times. Look left and right. The whole person showed an excited expression. Another short sword appeared in the left hand. It is the other half of Kaden Kyokutsu. Zoro's tricks were recalled in his mind at this time. In the mode of blood round eyes that can be called a copy. He has already succeeded in stealing teachers. At this time, Kaden Kyokutsu, who was holding 2 knives, one long and one short, was held by Lu Chen with a layer of chi blades attached to his waist. Second sword, Rashomon. 35. 0. Ask for flowers. This is why Lu Chen still has 2 knives on his waist even though he has no scabbard. Home together. One of the most basic katana moves and tricks, and also the most familiar katana moves and tricks around the world. The starting action of this trick is to draw a knife. Boom. With a loud bang, Lu Chen's slash instantly cut through the ice surface of the surrounding 100 meters. Just crush the ice. Boom. 35. There was a sound of a heavy object reaching the bottom. A giant, Vice Admiral, has been laid down. The moment he lay down, his body was already divided into 2 halves. Boom. 35. Boom. Boom. Immediately after. The sound of 3 heavy objects falling down almost at the same time. 0.00. 3 more giants, Vice Admiral, fell. Lu Chen took a knife. Kill the 4 giants Vice Admiral directly. The only one left is only because he is not in the path that Lu Chen's knife has passed. How is this possible? See Lu Chen's knife. Everyone went crazy. The whole world is in a state of madness. Especially among the islands and countries that Lu Chen and Luffy passed through. Wow, is Lu Chen getting stronger again? Inside the palace of Alabasta Albana City, which is called the Land of Sand. Vivi looked at the videophone bug and almost shook the brain of his father, Cobra, beside him. Look, it's Luffy and them. There was emotion in Vivi's tone. There is loneliness. More worry. Ace's affairs, even if their family is the former celestial dragons, it is impossible to interfere and change. Enough to see the seriousness of this matter. Mom, this person is so strong. On a certain island, a little boy looked at Lu Chen with longing. He's so good, handsome. In a city, a girl stared at Lu Chen in the videophone bug. A time, Lu Chen's form was passed from Marineford to the world. Everyone cheered for it. Even if he knew that Lu Chen was a pirate, he was still conquered by his strength and charm. And all this, Lu Chen did not know. Take back the short sword. Lu Chen indifferently looked at the last giant in front of him. Vice Admiral, what choice do you have now? Factory. Chapter 211 Akainu returns, Buggy fights Mihawk. What do you think? Of course, he fought hard. Otherwise what else? Run away. And then a disgrace to Marine. Quote. The giants were about to speak. He found himself unable to speak. Next second, his eyes began to roll back and forth. But, he didn't move his head at all. Boom. A muffled sound. A head fell to the ground. When Lu Chen spoke just now, he had already made another knife. 7 vice admirals, all of them giant vice admiral, all fell. Good boy. See how Lu Chen tackles the 7 giants vice admirals so easily and cleanly. A figure slowly walked out. It was Akainu Sakazuki who had just returned to the front of Marineford. Originally, I looked up to you enough, but I didn't expect you to be stronger than I thought. 100. 35. These giants vice admiral are loyal, hardworking and strong. Arguably a rare talent among Marines, if possible. Akainu definitely didn't want them dead. But, now that this is the case, nothing can change. Looking at Lu Chen in front of him, Akainu's face showed a little indifference. It seems that you cannot continue to develop. 35. Listen to Akainu. Lu Chen smiled slightly, not to mention that Marine's main target right now is Whitebeard. There is simply no way to recruit too many people. Just talking about grabbing oneself, relying on Lu Chen's current combat strength, the existence of Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral in Marine. It's just to die, and as long as Lu Chen thought about it, he would die as much as he came. Speaking of high-end power, if you want to defeat yourself, you must at least dispatch the older generation of powerhouses, similar to Garp, Sengoku and the like. If the young and middle-aged generation wants to defeat themselves, they need at least 2 Admiral Marine forces. As long as you run all the way, killing yourself is basically impossible. Now there is only Akainu alone. Even defeating oneself is unrealistic, let alone killing oneself. With a slight smile, Lu Chen didn't care about Akainu's threat. A sneer appeared on his face. So, what is Akainu Admiral going to do to me? Of course I'll kill you. Akainu's face showed indifference. The right hand has now turned into lava. Lu Chen was more than 20 meters away from him, and he could feel the heat from such a distance. It is enough to see how high the temperature of this lava is. Raised slightly, Akainu raised his right hand. However, his hand was not aimed at Lu Chen. On the contrary, it is aimed in the direction of his own people. Boom. 55. A loud bang. Akainu's hands burst out with extremely powerful lava bullets. It killed a lot of Marines directly. Those who dare to escape will be killed without mercy. Akainu didn't fight Lu Chen for the first time, but instead killed chickens to warn the monkeys. Running away from the battlefield is the most likely to cause morale collapse. Once a chain reaction occurs, even if it is 10 times the strength of the opponent, it is absolutely impossible to win. In many battles where less wins more battles, the stronger side is because of this. At this time, although Little Oz has been killed by Sengoku himself. However, Little Oz's body still turned into a huge flap, which opened a corner of Marine's iron plate formation that was going to trap the Whitebeard pirates. Many pirates who followed Little Oz rushed to the front of naval headquarters. It is for this reason. People on the Marine side have started to crumble. Until now, even though Marine's overall strength is far stronger than the Whitebeard pirates. Even after preparing for months in advance to deal with Whitebeard. Even in the frontal battlefield, the Whitebeard pirates side is already a little weak. But the odds are still higher for the Whitebeard pirates. Even Sengoku was forced to shoot. Whitebeard only made one shot at the beginning. Ace. Luffy also followed Little Oz across the periphery and came to Marineford's island. The journey is half over. At this moment, a smile appeared on Luffy's face. But, right now, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Luffy. A figure that was extremely surprised by both the Marine executive and the pirates. Mihawk. Sengoku looked at Mihawk with a puzzled look on his face. Mihawk's performance just now has been regarded as a face for Marine. Even, he has already retired. It is clear that he does not want to continue the turbulent waters of this summit war. But, why start again now? Other Shichibukai, and the Whitebeard pirates are also full of doubts. Neither of them knew exactly what Mihawk was trying to do. I remember you are the captain of Lu Chen. Mihawk looked at Luffy with curiosity in his eyes. I'm Luffy. Luffy's face was full of unhappiness. Although what Mihawk said was right, he still hoped that the other party would not introduce himself with other people. I remember you too. The man who nearly killed Zoro. I'm willing to accompany you if you want to fight me, but not now. Now I'm going to save Ace, please let me go. 35. Mihawk disagreed. He didn't even listen to naval headquarters. How could he possibly care about Luffy who hasn't grown up yet? Knight was held in his hands again. Just when he was about to make a move. A blue-haired man with a red ball on his nose stopped in front of Luffy and Mihawk. Luffy, you go first, leave it to me here. 99. Reliable. Serious. It was Buggy who showed up. Looking at his back, it was like a peerless master. Luffy's face also showed gratitude, and nodded vigorously. Buggy, I was the one who blamed you before, you are a worthy opponent. 35. After speaking, Luffy bypassed Buggy and Mihawk and rushed towards the execution platform where Ace was. The appearance of Buggy can be said to have moved Luffy. However, how could Buggy be so loyal? 1.3. If Luffy thought about taking a closer look, after seeing the group of prisoners cheering for Buggy, he could roughly guess what was going on. You are. Mihawk looked suspiciously at the buggy in front of him. He felt that the buggy in front of him was familiar, but he didn't know where he had seen it. I am the man who will kill you. At this point, Buggy had an extra knife in his hand. This knife is not ordinary at first glance, it is specially made. This is what he picked up from the battlefield, and it is most likely that the person who uses the knife specially finds the knife customized by the blacksmith. Although it is not produced by a famous teacher, it is many times stronger than the standard knife used by Buggy before. Buggy looked at Mihawk in front of him. His face was full of solemnity. He wasn't going to actually fight Mihawk. Completely forced by the situation. Let me experience the strength of the so-called greatest swordsman in the world. Chapter 212 The Power of Buggy, Luffy is blocked. While talking, Buggy glanced at the prisoners. Cold sweat poured out all over. This is Mihawk. The man standing on the top of Kendo is also the strongest under the four emperors. Although he said that he was immune to slash because of chop fruit. But can it really hold up? I see. At the same time, Mihawk looked at Buggy with a knowing look on his face. He finally remembered where he had seen Buggy. It was on Shanks' ship. Or to be more precise, it's above the Gall-D. Roger crew photo. The clown in front of him is the one who fought Shanks. His eyes flicked over Buggy's body. With the dynamic vision of Mihawk's greatest swordsman in the world, he was naturally aware of Buggy's body that seemed to fall apart at any time. Although it is not known that Buggy is the owner of chop fruit. But it can also be seen that the strength of Buggy is definitely not weak. If it was aimed at a knife-wielding expert like him, maybe even Mihawk himself might not be able to take it easily. Mihawk looked clear. Although the strength is not as strong as Shanks, it is not bad. Should I say, as expected of someone on that ship. Shanks. Buggy was stunned when he heard Mihawk's words. Immediately, anger appeared on his face. If it weren't for Shanks, he would have acquired the treasure long ago. Seeing Buggy like this, Mihawk had a puzzled look on his face. You hate him. Of course. Buggy stomped his feet angrily. This look. O2 looks like Buggy is swearing in anger, while Mihawk is listening intently. Everyone, come and see. As the Buggy God tier teaching Mihawk a lesson. Someone said so. All the prisoners turned their attention from elsewhere to Buggy. Seeing that Buggy was angry and Mihawk didn't react much, a surprised expression appeared on his face. Isn't it? For a time, this scene shocked all the prisoners. Buggy God tier is teaching Mihawk a lesson, and then Mihawk doesn't dare to fight back. Why don't you dare to fight back? This is obviously a little scared. The most terrifying thing about rumors is that they can be infinitely distorted and then spread twice. Sin will not fall on his head. After all, the source of transmission is not him. At most, he was scolded as a follower dog. Gossip is the most eye-catching thing. You can get others to notice that you satisfy your own vanity without taking too much risk. In this way, rumors have become something that most people will not refute, or even take the initiative to spread. Yes, so amazing. That is to say, the Buggy God tier and even the greatest swordsmen in the world need to respect and obediently obey the teaching. A time, with the fantasy of many prisoners. They have built a strong image of the world in their minds, and put it on Buggy's body. Of course, today's Buggy does have the ability to be respected. However, it has not reached the height they thought in their hearts. I will always follow the Buggy God tier. I will always follow the Buggy God tier. 35. A time. The prisoners are in self-hypnosis, thoroughly moved. They started shouting behind Buggy to show their loyalty. To this, there was also a look of doubt on Buggy's face. Mihawk was also surprised. Many of these prisoners are familiar faces. When he looked at Buggy again, a look of admiration appeared on his face. I didn't expect you to be so attractive. Those guys are not so good at believing in the existence of others. Of course, hearing Mihawk's words, Buggy had a smug look on his face. I am Buggy. Just when Buggy dragged Mihawk, Luffy kept rushing to where Ace was. But, Ace's execution stand is too high. Each floor is guarded by Marine. Luffy tried to climb up with rubber fruit several times, but it was unsuccessful. As Luffy goes deeper and deeper, there are not many pirates around him. At this point, Luffy became the only target for the surrounding Marines. Let me help you. 35. Just when Luffy was about to be besieged by the Marines, a figure appeared in front of Luffy. This is a very unique man who will never be forgotten once he sees it. Half white, half khaki. Hair, sunglasses on face, clothes, pants and shoes. It can be said to be very characteristic. This man is Lightning. It is also inaccurate to say that he is a man, because he is a man of Ivankov, who is also a self-proclaimed new human being. I saw Lightning's hands flicked and turned into two scissors. This seems huge, but there is no special kendo. The moment he landed, the ground was cut open like a piece of paper. Seeing this scene, Luffy's eyes showed a touch of surprise. It's great. Brush, clap, soon. Lightning is ready. His scissors had cut an extremely long way through the ground. Okay, Straw Hat Boy, let's go. 39. Talking. In an instant, the road below was thrown away. This road is directly on Ace's execution platform. Just take this road to avoid the surrounding Marines. The execution platform is far away from other places. The strength of the two executioners was impossible to stop Luffy. It can be said that as long as Luffy passes, he can directly save Ace. Okay, thank you. Luffy didn't forget to thank Lightning. Faye also seems to be on this road and runs directly to Ace. Looking at Ace who was approaching, Luffy showed a happy expression on his face. Ace, I'm here to save you. Ace at this time, there was firmness on his face. Neither Luffy nor Whitebeard could step back. So, how could he possibly die now? Thousands of words came together, and Ace finally only shouted 2 words, Luffy. A time. The 2 brothers who were gradually getting closer were both smiling at this time. Hey, 55. A sigh. A figure appeared on the road made by lightning. See this figure. A sigh appeared on Sengoku's face at the top. Silently muttering his name. Garp. That's right. Appearing on Luffy's path is the marine hero. Sengoku's last whole card. Garp, who didn't even have a chance to shoot in this section of the original book. Luffy. Garp yelled at Luffy. Do you know that you are breaking the law by doing this? What do you think? Of course, he fought hard. Otherwise what else? Run away. And then a disgrace to Marine. Quote. The giants were about to speak. He found himself unable to speak. Next second, his eyes began to roll back and forth. But, he didn't move his head at all. Boom. 35. A muffled sound. A head fell to the ground. When Lu Chen spoke just now, he had already made another knife. 7 vice admirals, all of them giant vice admiral, all fell. Good boy. See how Lu Chen tackles the 7 giants vice admirals so easily and cleanly. A figure slowly walked out. It was Akainu Sakazuki who had just returned to the front of Marineford. I originally thought of you high enough, but I didn't expect you to be stronger than I thought. These giants vice admiral are loyal, hardworking and strong. Arguably a rare talent among Marines, if possible. Akainu definitely didn't want them dead. But, now that this is the case, nothing can change. Look at Lu Chen in front of face 100. Akainu's face showed a little indifference. It seems that you cannot continue to develop. Listen to Akainu. Lu Chen smiled slightly, not to mention that Marine's main target right now is Whitebeard. There is simply no way to recruit too many people. Just talking about grabbing oneself, relying on Lu Chen's current combat strength, the existence of Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral in Marine. It's just to die, and as long as Lu Chen thought about it, he would die as much as he came. Speaking of high-end power, if you want to defeat yourself, you must at least dispatch the older generation of powerhouses, similar to Garp, Sengoku and the like. If the young and middle-aged generation wants to defeat themselves, they need at least 2 Admiral Marine forces. As long as you run all the way, killing yourself is basically impossible. Now there is only Akainu alone. Even defeating oneself is unrealistic, let alone killing oneself. With a slight smile, Lu Chen didn't care about Akainu's threat. A sneer appeared on his face. So, what is Akainu Admiral going to do to me? Of course I'll kill you. Akainu's face showed indifference. The right hand has now turned into lava. Lu Chen was more than 20 meters away from him, and he could feel the heat from such a distance. It is enough to see how high the temperature of this lava is. Raised slightly, Akainu raised his right hand. However, his hand was not aimed at Lu Chen. On the contrary, it is aimed in the direction of his own people. Boom. A loud bang. Akainu's hands burst out with extremely powerful lava bullets. It killed a lot of Marines directly. Those who dare to escape will be killed without mercy. Akainu didn't fight Lu Chen for the first time, but instead killed chickens to warn the monkeys. Running away from the battlefield is the most likely to cause morale collapse. Once a chain reaction occurs, even if it is 10 times the strength of the opponent, it is absolutely impossible to win. In many battles where less wins more battles, the stronger side is because of this. Chapter 213 Get Angry, Lu Chen vs. Akainu. At this time, although Little Oz has been killed by Sengoku himself. However, Little Oz's body still turned into a huge flap, which opened a corner of Marine's iron plate formation that was going to trap the Whitebeard pirates. Many pirates who followed Little Oz rushed to the front of naval headquarters. It is for this reason. People on the Marine side have started to crumble. Until now, even though Marine's overall strength is far stronger than the Whitebeard pirates. Even after preparing for months in advance to deal with Whitebeard. Even in the frontal battlefield, the Whitebeard pirates' side is already a little weak. But the odds are still higher for the Whitebeard pirates. Even Sengoku was forced to shoot. Whitebeard only made 1 shot at the beginning. Ace. Luffy also followed Little Oz across the periphery and came to Marineford's island. The journey is half over. At this moment, a smile appeared on Luffy's face. But, right now, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Luffy. A figure that was extremely surprised by both the Marine executive and the pirates. Mihawk. Sengoku looked at Mihawk with a puzzled look on his face. Mihawk's performance just now has been regarded as a face for Marine. Even, he has already retired. It is clear that he does not want to continue the turbulent waters of this summit war. But, why start again now? Other Shichibukai, the Whitebeard pirates were also full of doubts. Neither of them knew exactly what Mihawk was trying to do. I remember you are the captain of Lu Chen. Mihawk looked at Luffy with curiosity in his eyes. I'm Luffy. Luffy's face was full of unhappiness. Although what Mihawk said was right, he still hoped that the other party would not introduce himself with other people. I remember you too. The man who nearly killed Zoro. If you want to fight me, I'm willing to accompany you, but not now. 99. Now I'm going to save Ace, and please let me go. Ah, Mihawk disagreed. He didn't even listen to naval headquarters. How could he possibly care about Luffy who hasn't grown up yet? Knight was held in his hands again. Just when he was about to make a move. A blue-haired man with a red ball on his nose stopped in front of Luffy and Mihawk. Luffy, you go first, leave it to me here. 55. Reliable. Serious. It was Buggy who showed up. Looking at his back, it was like a peerless master. Luffy's face also showed gratitude, and nodded vigorously. Buggy, I was the one who blamed you before, you are a worthy opponent. After speaking, Luffy bypassed Buggy and Mihawk and rushed towards the execution platform where Ace was. The appearance of Buggy can be said to have moved Luffy. However, how could Buggy be so loyal? If Luffy thought about taking a closer look, after seeing the group of prisoners cheering for Buggy, he could roughly guess what was going on. Are you? Mihawk looked suspiciously at the Buggy in front of him. He felt that the Buggy in front of him was familiar, but he didn't know where he had seen it. I am the man who will kill you. At this point, Buggy had an extra knife in his hand. This knife is not ordinary at first glance, it is specially made. This is what he picked up from the battlefield, and it is most likely that the person who uses the knife specially finds the knife customized by the blacksmith. Although it is not produced by a famous teacher, it is many times stronger than the standard knife used by Buggy before. Buggy looked at Mihawk in front of him. His face was full of solemnity. He wasn't going to actually fight Mihawk. Completely forced by the situation. Let me experience the strength of the so-called greatest swordsman in the world. I don't care if he breaks the law or not. Luffy's answer was also unsurprising. There was no flinch in his eyes. Even in the face of his grandfather, he did not intend to give up. I only know that if I don't come to save Ace, Ace will really die. When faced with the reality that Ace was about to die, Luffy was completely insane. That's why I said, let you two bastards be Marines. Garp also roared loudly. His eyes were full of anger. If the two of you were Marines, what's the matter? How could Ace be caught? How can you possibly be rewarded? How am I? Bang. Garp's whining hadn't had time to finish. Luffy's fist has fallen. Garp's huge body was directly knocked out by Luffy. As for Garp, he fought back tears. He didn't fight back, nor did he intend to stop it. Even, according to Luffy's strength, it is impossible for him to move a toe. He flew out on his own initiative. That's the last thing Garp can do. Face this situation. Sengoku also shook his head slightly. Hey. Sighed. Sengoku came to the execution platform. Garp wasn't going to shoot. The others who could stop Luffy couldn't make it to the execution block for a while. In the entire marine, he was the only one left. At this time. It was only then that he realized that the big marine was actually not many people who could really use it at a critical moment. Luffy was castrated unabated. Rush in the direction of Ace again. Ace, I'm here to save you. Chen, outside Marineford. Above the sea frozen by Aokiji. Akainu looked at Chen in front of him and muttered his name. At this time, Marine, under the threat of death, no one dared to retreat and escape. Although Akainu's practice is cruel and merciless. But surprisingly useful. Eyes look around. Akainu looked in the direction of Whitebeard. The man Marine has to deal with is Whitebeard, and the purpose is to kill Whitebeard. However, who is Whitebeard? The strongest above the sea, the head of the four emperors, the uncrowned one piece in people's hearts. To deal with Whitebeard, they can only be qualified at admiral level or above. And it's only qualified to play against Whitebeard. He actually didn't really want to fight Chen. Chen will definitely consume a lot of his energy. Couldn't beat Whitebeard. This makes other people consume their own strength, and even puts him in danger. How about it? Kaden Kyokutsu appears in the hands of Chen. He also didn't think Whitebeard would survive. In the original work, neither Sengoku nor Garp shot, and Whitebeard was already dead. Even if I have myself now. At most, it was forcing Sengoku and Garp to leave the game themselves. But, even knowing that is the result, Chen also didn't plan to do nothing. A fight. 35. Facing Chen's invitation to fight, Akainu nodded. After seeing Chen kill 7 giants vice admiral. Akainu already knew that in the future this Chen would also be his enemy, and one of the most important enemies. Now that we can get to grips with each other, it is also a very good opportunity to learn about intelligence. Backquote. Come on. Quote. Akainu stepped forward. Magma, an ultra-high temperature with a temperature of at least 900 degrees Celsius exists. It stands to reason that a magma man like Akainu, and a magma man with full ability, walks on the ice surface that Aokiji can't get down, and the ice surface will melt directly. But, nothing happened at Akainu's feet. No, it can't be said that nothing happened, and a thin layer of water mist appeared. It can be seen from here. How strong is Akainu? How meticulous is the control of the fruit's ability? Dark Hound. When approaching Chen to a certain extent. Akainu shot first. The right fist hit Chen directly. The arms quickly spread and swelled. A demon dog that seemed to come out of hell appeared vividly in front of Chen. That's right. Is in front. At this temperature, if you encounter it, it will definitely be scalded directly, right? I don't know why so many people who were hit by Akainu in the original book are all right. Chen muttered silently. He didn't step back or dodge. Kaden Kyokutsu has already shot at this time. One after another slashes quickly cut Akainu's lava. Countless slashing knife lights directly cut Akainu's lava into extremely fine pieces. Atomic chop. A spell capable of slicing objects down to the size of atoms. Certainly. This is Lu Chen's ability to imitate the atomic samurai from One Punch Man. Obtained. He didn't use the essence either. But Akainu's tricks in front of him are not as rogue as the Black Spirit. Enough. Excellent swordsmanship. Akainu looked at Lu Chen with surprise in his eyes. Just like that, are you surprised? To this, Lu Chen scoffed. Akainu is not someone who is easily swayed by emotions. Would make such an expression. Moreover, although Dark Hound can be regarded as Akainu's trick, it is definitely the weakest group of Akainu's tricks. It is impossible for Akainu not to know his own strength. Such an expression was obviously deliberately disturbing him. With a flash of thought in his eyes, Lu Chen spoke again. Should I say that I am a lackey of the world government? 39. This shamelessness is indeed somewhat similar. Although the world government is irritating. But there is no conflict with Lu Chen yet. Obviously. This time it was Lu Chen's apparent revenge. The same is to fool Akainu, and even further intends to anger Akainu. Ha ha, Akainu sneered. He is also a little speechless about Lu Chen's style. The pace quickened a bit again. Has come to the front of Lu Chen. Since you are courting death, don't blame me for being rude. 35. As he spoke, Akainu's fists turned into thick lava that could cook any temperature and hit Lu Chen directly. Chapter 214 The Mighty Sea King, Whitebeard. Brush, 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 brush. For a moment. Lu Chen and Akainu have gone through dozens of tricks. The speed of both sides has reached an extremely fast level. There was a vague sense of a draw between the two sides. This is certainly not to say that Akainu has reached the level of a dragon. But Lu Chen doesn't have a good way to target Logia Devil Fruit right now. Bang. 35. Another trick. Lu Chen and Akainu separate. Looking at Akainu in front of him. Lu Chen spoke again. If you and I want to decide the outcome, it seems a little difficult. It's not difficult. Compared to Lu Chen's casual. Akainu really got angry. The whole body turned into lava directly. Obviously, he is going to make a big move. But, right now. Whitebeard did it himself. Whitebeard has always been the object of everyone's attention. Even Lu Chen and Akainu didn't really try their best. After all, they didn't have to fight to the death. If the two sides really fought to the death, it would be impossible to decide the winner for a while. At this point Whitebeard came off the court. The two separated directly and tacitly. How can it be so strong? Is this the strength of the first powerhouse in the sea? Is Whitebeard strong? Strong, it is recognized. But few people know how strong 100 Whitebeard really is. This shot, let people peep a part of it. With a knife, the world changed. A knife mixed with the ability of shock fruit directly cut off the bodies of hundreds of people around, including Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral and other Marines mainstays. Originally still in the core area of the war, there are many people. The Marines charged forward one after the other. At this time, it was directly cut to the fault by Whitebeard alone. Brush. 35. Boom. Another knife swing. A huge slash flew directly from the Guandao in Whitebeard's hand. Come. 35. Stop it. Stop it. See this slash. Immediately, dozens of Vice Admiral and dozens of Rear Admiral stepped forward. Has the ability to activate fruit. If there is no fruit, use armament hockey directly, or other tricks of your own. Dozens of slashes of energy rushed directly to Whitebeard. Goo la la la. Seeing this, Whitebeard laughed. He laughed at the innocence of these Marines. Really? Next second, it looked as if a dozen Vice Admiral and dozens of Rear Admirals' combined attack were several times bigger than Whitebeard's slash, and they were directly smashed by Whitebeard's slash. But the slashing is still the trend. The dozen or so Vice Admiral and dozens of Rear Admiral had just shot with all their strength at this time. It was impossible to react at all. Was cut in half straight away. Hey, it's so scary. In such a situation, everyone could not help but take a deep breath. Marines are scared. Could this be a human too? Is this the power a man can possess? Look at Whitebeard. That tall body is like a god. Involuntarily backed away. Goo la la la. The iconic laughter was heard again. Whitebeard walked towards Marineford again. This moment. As if Marineford was not naval headquarters, but Whitebeard's marine base. Follow me forward. The Whitebeard pirates themselves are outnumbered by Marine. After fighting for a period of time, the gap in the number of people gradually revealed. Don't say it's a downturn. There are even some displays of defeat. But, Whitebeard shot. This situation was immediately reversed. People block murder. Buddha blocks and kills Buddha. Anyone who stands in front of Whitebeard will face death. This is the power of Whitebeard. In the original. With the sneak attack of the renegade spider, Whitebeard can still lead the Whitebeard pirates all the way to Marineford. Not to mention Whitebeard who didn't have any damage at all at this point. He held his head high, as if a king had come to the world. Where he is going, no one can stop him. Damn it. Seeing Whitebeard take a shot, Sengoku also gritted his teeth secretly. He didn't expect that the change brought by Whitebeard would be so big. But, Sengoku also completely relaxed. Whitebeard's own exit means one thing. Whitebeard had no cards to play and had to play it himself. In other words, as long as he can withstand this wave of Whitebeard's offensive, then defeating Whitebeard, or even beheading Whitebeard, is not completely unimaginable. Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru. Sengoku's voice resounded throughout the battlefield. Kizaru, who was fighting Marco, Aokiji, who was fighting Diamond Yoja, and Akainu, who separated from Lu Chen, tacitly understood what was going on at this moment. Quickly rush in the direction of Whitebeard. The first to arrive was naturally the fastest Kizaru. Hi, Whitebeard. Still so cynical. A spot of light appeared on Kizaru's finger. Although cynical on the surface, Kizaru is very serious. He didn't charge, and he didn't flirt. The laser in the hand shoots directly out. Goo la la la. However, black light flashed across Whitebeard's skin. Armament hockey has emerged. The blow of Kizaru's surprise attack directly collapsed on Whitebeard's body. You kid, you are despicable. Talking. Whitebeard raised the knife in his hand. The power of shock fruit is concentrated on it. Going to slash at Kizaru. Oh, it's so scary. Kizaru saw Whitebeard's actions, and his body became elemental. When he reappeared, he was already some distance away from Whitebeard. Whitebeard, you're not alone in dealing with him. 35. At this time, Aokiji has also arrived. The laziness in his eyes miraculously disappeared, and only calm and solemnity appeared on his body. His hand was on Whitebeard's knife. The ice quickly converged on Guandao. It began to spread in the direction of Whitebeard's hand at a very fast speed. And me. 99. The other side. Akainu has also shot. The lava flow formed by the lava followed Akainu's fist and rushed directly to Whitebeard. Are you planning to? 3 British wars against Lu Bu. Whitebeard's face was flat. 3 of Marine's admirals against me. My face is quite big. While talking, Whitebeard clasped his hands. Click, 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 click. Crack, click. 35. One after another, a harsh sound like glass shattering sounded. It spread directly to Aokiji and Akainu. Just smash Aokiji and Akainu to pieces. #T. That's pretty big. This world-renowned summit war is aimed at you. Aokiji, who recondensed into a human form in ice, and Akainu, who condensed into a human form from lava, had solemn expressions on their faces. This blow, though said, did not hurt them. But they also understand the difference between the two sides. Don't say it's one-on-one. Even in a 2-on-1 match, Aokiji and Akainu are no match for Whitebeard. Kizaru, don't forget my existence. At this time, Kizaru was about to help. Marco had already arrived and stopped Kizaru directly. The other side, Diamond Yoja also held up the huge ice cube in his hand and slammed it towards Aokiji. Akainu was the only one left around Whitebeard. See this situation. The Sengoku above is also completely unable to sit still. He looked at the sky, and then at his pocket watch, with a hint of determination in his eyes. No, I can't wait any longer. The execution, or the entire world was notified in advance, for the execution of the descendant of the devil, Galdi. Roger, the Pirate King. Chapter 215 Early Execution, Meritorious Mr. 3. In any case, it should be done according to the time. This is the most perfect. But, Whitebeard's attack is just too intense right now. If it really counts according to Whitebeard's current offensive. Afraid that he couldn't wait for the execution time, Whitebeard came in. Plus Whitebeard's shock fruit. It only takes one punch to directly destroy the execution platform. Now, execute the sentence early. Early execution. Sengoku's report this time is a phone bug. This means that everyone can hear it. Marines throughout Marineford. The Whitebeard pirates fighting outside Marineford. It even includes ordinary people or other strong people who watch through video and phone bugs all over the world. This seems to just represent the advance of the time, but in fact it also means that Marine has confessed. And in front of the whole world, he's saying to Whitebeard that you're amazing, I can't beat you now. Then I just flipped the table. Ace, running towards Luffy. Luffy, who was about to reach the execution platform, panicked. Ace, the members of the Whitebeard pirates, still outside Marineford, panicked. Even Whitebeard, who had originally planned to take this opportunity to kill Akainu first and cost Marine an admiral, stopped at this time. So decided, although it is Marine who admits to cowardice. But the result of admitting counsel is that it can lower the bottom line. This move by Sengoku can be said to have directly forced the Whitebeard pirates to the most passive stage. At this time, most of the Whitebeard pirates had already reached the ground in Marineford. If Ace is still alive, then the rescue will continue, and the loss will also be lost. If Ace dies, then just retreat, and in this position, the offense is a preliminary victory. But if you retreat, Marine can kill most of the pirates with just artillery fire. In addition, Chief Fan, the strong man of naval headquarters, goes into battle. Even if the Whitebeard pirates still exist after this battle, they will only exist in name only. The strength is at least sharply reduced by more than 50%. Ace. Luffy accelerated again. For this reason, he even directly opened the second gear without hesitation. Seeing that it was time to reach the execution platform. The knives of the 2 executive officers have fallen. However, just when everyone thought Ace was dead, the knife did not hit Ace. Instead, an executioner was knocked to the ground and passed out. And the person who shot was another executioner. What happened? Such a big change, everyone was blinded. Even Sengoku was full of disbelief at this time. To know, his decision even made the whole world see that Marine was afraid of Whitebeard. Suffered such a huge loss of reputation. But the order hasn't been completed yet. Mr. 3. At this point, Luffy has come to the execution platform. Just as he was about to kill the remaining executioner, when he saw his face, his stretched fists and arms were retracted. At this time, he also understood why the executioner wanted to help Ace. Great. Thank you, Mr. 3. No thanks, although I'm not a pirate, I'm still with you. A sense of responsibility appeared on Mr. 3's face. In fact, he was also afraid. The war has come to an end. If he continues to hide, he will only follow the Marines back to the barracks after killing Ace. By the time, how could his iconic face not be discovered by the Marines? What awaited him was still the dark hell of Impel Down. With this result, it's better to help the Whitebeard pirates, so that when the Whitebeard pirates leave, they will definitely take themselves away. This is his solution to survival. Anyone from the Baroque studio. Sengoku also saw the executioner clearly at this time. His eyes were on Crocodile, nicknamed Shark. There was a helpless expression in his eyes. As Martial Marine, he must master most of the strength and fame in the sea. As a very important person in the Baroque studio, he naturally knows this Mr. 3. The reason to pay attention to him is of course not a matter of his strength. A child thief of tens of millions, let alone aroused Martial Marine and left a deep impression on Martial Marine. Even Rear Admiral can be killed easily. The main reason for him to pay attention to Mr. Point 3 is because of the fruit ability of Mr. 3. Really, life is full of surprises. Who could have imagined that this would happen? 35. 0. Ask for flowers. Sengoku looked helpless. Standing up, at this moment, he no longer intends to stay any longer. Anyway, Whitebeard has already shot. Now that he is shooting, it will not be seen that he has fallen behind. A very melodious and reassuring voice sounded. Immediately after, a golden light flashed. The look of Sengoku has changed dramatically. A golden Buddha statue has appeared in everyone's eyes. Human fruit, phantom beast, and Buddha form. To ensure accuracy and a sure kill on Ace. Sengoku's shot is full force. The straw hat. 35. Originally, for your grandfather's sake, I didn't plan to shoot at you. 35.00. Sengoku didn't even bother to hide at this time. He directly said what he thought and did about Luffy. While talking, one side of the palm rolled towards the execution platform. Can see, Sengoku means to kill Ace directly, but also does not intend to let Luffy and Mr. Point 3 go. Not good. Seeing this, Chen was also nervous. At this time, Sengoku's eyes completely released murderous aura. In the original, because of Garp's existence, and Sengoku's apology to Garp. Sengoku didn't really kill Luffy, that's what kept Luffy alive. But if Sengoku is serious, even if he is strengthened by himself, even Luffy who has mastered the armed color and the knowledge color in advance, it is absolutely impossible to survive in the hands of Sengoku. Glancing at Marine 3 Admiral's direction. At this time, Kizaru is playing against Marco, and Aokiji is entangled with Diamond Yoja. Akainu was stared at by Whitebeard. Chen looked in Garp's direction again. At this point, Garp seemed to have lost his dream, slumped on Admiral's chair, not planning to shoot. Or that the spirit is no longer there. Fine. This situation gave Chen a sigh of relief. The distance between him and the execution platform was not close, at least 3 kilometers. Now Sengoku has also shot. If anyone stops you, then Chen couldn't make it even if he used the semi-teleportation of the meatball fruit. Clang. A metallic humming sound rang out. Sengoku's palm was blocked. Chapter 216. The final battle is here, Chen vs Sengoku. With a knife, a golden palm froze in the air. The golden palm is naturally Sengoku's. That knife is Kaden Kyokutsu of Chen. Chen. I feel like my tricks are being blocked. There was a look of happiness and joy in Sengoku's eyes. Chen was originally the object of his special attention. At this time, he rushed forward unexpectedly. Ace and Luffy, who are likely to grow into big troubles, are dealt with in one go. Even bringing a Chen, who Sengoku desperately needs now, how can this make Sengoku unhappy? Very good. Nod slightly. The corners of Sengoku's mouth drew an arc. It looks like he has admiral-level strength in his 20s, so keeping you is definitely a scourge. I'm going to kill you anyway. Let me do it myself. Talking. Sengoku took back the palm. 100. 0. Take this opportunity. Chen didn't turn his head either. He said directly, Luffy, let the people around you find the key and put Ace away. Since it is an executioner, then there must be Ace's handcuff key. After you liberate Ace, you can quickly evacuate. I don't need you to worry about it here. Hear what Chen said. Luffy didn't respond either. Because he knows. Responding at this point is a waste of time. He directly turned over the executioner who was knocked unconscious by Mr. 3. Also ask for the Mr. Point 3 key. Chen, die. 35. At this time, Chen really didn't have time to respond to Luffy's words. Have to say, Luffy does have amazing judgment when it comes to big things. Hiss. Look at the approaching palm. Chen took a deep breath. The whole body began to emit a faint red light, which was Luffy's second gear. Luffy's second gear uses the elasticity of the rubber ones to avoid damage to the second gear. Chen has no rubber body. However, he has a stronger physique. So, however, there is no need to be afraid that the beating of the heart several times faster will cause him to go into direct shock. Although this move is not as big as Luffy himself. But it can also be regarded as a magical skill. How could it be possible for you to kill me so easily? Lu Chen is also not to be outdone. Send. At the same time, the ability of the flesh ball fruit was also used by Lu Chen. Unlike the air cannon compressed by the bear, Lu Chen's air cannon is a sphere. This is also the reason why even before the dragon didn't realize that Lu Chen had the meatball fruit. With Lu Chen's voice falling, 6 little suns suddenly appeared behind him. They said they were small suns. In fact, the air was compressed to the ultimate level. When the density is sufficient, it can reflect light. In addition, it is spherical, so it looks like a small sun. The 6 little suns just appeared. He was mobilized by Lu Chen and blasted directly into Sengoku's palm. Boom, 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 clang. 35. A loud explosion sounded. Immediately afterwards, there was a sound of metal symphony. Lu Chen added these two tricks together. This barely resisted Sengoku's blow. It's hard. Lu Chen looked at Sengoku in front of him with a little helplessness in his eyes. His own strength is definitely the top in the One Piece world. But, in the face of Sengoku, Garp, Whitebeard, the previous generation of powerhouses is obviously not enough. Click, click, click. Just at this time, there was a sound of wood breaking. Look in the direction of the sound. It turned out that the execution platform was about to be destroyed. Luffy, are you ready? All right. It was not Luffy who responded to Lu Chen. But Ace, I just felt a rush of heat rushing past me. A pillar of fire hit Sengoku directly. Sengoku originally had a 55-50 fight with Lu Chen. This time coupled with Ace's attack. Just step back and avoid the edge for a while. Let me help you. Ace's voice sounded again. At this point, he was already standing on the left side of Lu Chen's body. Immediately after, Luffy also came to the right side of Lu Chen's body. Lu Chen glanced at Ace and Luffy. A speechless expression appeared in his eyes. Needless to say, Luffy is completely useless against opponents of Sengoku's level. Although Ace is said to be the existence of the Emperor's deputy level. But it didn't help either. Instead, Sengoku will use Ace as a breakthrough. By the time, I have to take care of the battle with Sengoku, and I have to be dealt with Ace by Sengoku like a breakthrough, and I have to protect him. So far, whether to accept help from Ace and Luffy has been answered. Lu Chen stepped lightly, moonwalk started and came directly into the air. Come on. 35. This is not a place for you to stay. I have a way to leave by myself, don't worry about me. How could I have left my companions? Lu Chen, you. Luffy hasn't finished speaking yet. It was directly pulled away by Ace. Since you know it's your companion, you should trust him. Ace knew that Lu Chen disliked their weakness. This is not sarcasm, nor is it disgust. But facts. Then, what he can do is try not to let himself and Luffy affect Lu Chen. You don't think that if you let them avoid it, they will live. Sengoku glanced in the direction Ace and Luffy were leaving. A playful expression appeared in his eyes. Whitebeard's shot is really shocking. But it also means that Whitebeard has no other means. At this time, the Marines outside were gradually encircling in, and the Whitebeard pirates had already penetrated deep into Marineford. Under so many unfavorable conditions, it was impossible for Whitebeard to escape. Not to mention others. It's too early to say this now, isn't it? While saying this, Lu Chen glanced at Garp from the corner of his eye. Fortunately, he is still depressed. Looking at Sengoku doesn't mean to let him shoot. If so, he still hits. Playing against a strong player from the previous generation, Lu Chen was already struggling to 1.3. 2 words. You really have to explain it here. Hehe. 35. Sengoku sneered. The fist is already hitting Lu Chen. Then, let me come and see your so-called, not necessarily. Sengoku's fist was swung with a burst of airborne sonic booms. During the whistling, you can vaguely hear the sound of the air crying. Haven't waited for the fist to come. Just the wind blade that the fist rolled up was enough to make Lu Chen's face hurt. Enough to see the power of this punch. Invincible. This is Lu Chen's evaluation of this punch. The whole body responded quickly, as soft as a piece of paper. Sengoku's thunder strike was as weak as if it hit the paper. What? Sengoku was surprised. Paper Arts. 35 Chapter 217 Blackbeard joins the war, One Piece. As a Marine, and the Marine's highest-ranking Marine Marshal. Our Marine's true highest combat power, how could Sengoku misread Lu Chen's tricks? This kind of punch is like a punch on the cotton, and the tense force can only play a role of 1 or 2 points. What is not paper arts? That's right, Lu Chen nodded. A look of memory appeared on his face. This trick, I learned from CP9, what that person's name seems to be. I don't remember the name very well, I learned it from a man with a zipper on his mouth. Blood Wheel Eye's ability to copy and learn is extremely strong. Kakashi can reproduce thousands of ninjutsu and taijutsu with one eye, and is called the copy ninja Kakashi. Lu Chen has a complete pair of Blood Wheel Eyes, and also has permanent Mangekyo Blood Wheel Eyes. The ability is only stronger than Kakashi. Moreover, Marine 6 Styles is not a complicated trick, it just requires hard training. Naturally, you can learn by watching it once. Otonashi Fukuro. 35. An ugly look appeared on Sengoku's face. He said his name easily. The CP organization trains O2 in the Marines and is directly affiliated with the Celestial Dragons Intelligence Organization. There are 10 divisions from CPO all the way to CP9. Others in these espionage organizations are not clear, but as Marshal Marine, he can be said to be extremely clear. After all, as an espionage organization, the less people know, the better. Marshal Marine is the direct leader of the personnel selection and personnel training of the CP espionage organization. Sengoku can be said to know more about the characters of these spies than the celestial dragons who lead the CP organization. This B****************. No wonder he is. 5. Looking at Sengoku's slightly angry expression, Lu Chen showed extremely calmness. He didn't do anything wrong, don't blame him. Expression. Marine 6 styles isn't such a hard trick by itself, and it's not unbelievable that I can learn it. Ha ha, Sengoku sneered, looking at Lu Chen, his teeth itch with hatred. That expression was simply mocking him for his bad work and making someone like Fukuro Otonashi a member of an espionage organization. You kid, it's really annoying. Originally, I was thinking of recruiting you to Marine. Let's forget about Marine. Lu Chen immediately shook his head. He didn't want to be a wage laborer. Even Garp was forced to witness the death of his grandson, let alone anyone else. Pirates, although the name does not sound good. But as long as you don't do bad things yourself, then there is no problem. As for fame, how about love? At least I am comfortable. Compared to being a Marine, I would like to hear what kind of bounty you plan to arrange for me in the future. Curious. Is really curious, although Lu Chen's strength is not fully displayed. But at least it has reached the level of Admiral. The bounty at the deputy level can reach 1 billion. The words of the 4 emperors are generally more than 4 billion. Now, his strength alone has surpassed that of the emperor. What level of bounty will Sengoku arrange for himself, and how could he not expect it? This matter, I think it doesn't count. Sengoku's recovery is ambiguous. To others, it seems like Sengoku doesn't want to say it. In fact, in the eyes of Lu Chen, who knows the future? He was telling the truth. Sengoku, there is really no way out. As the planner of this summit war, although the ultimate goal of killing Whitebeard Marine was indeed achieved. However, Marine has completely lost everything except this purpose. Every step is led by the nose of the Whitebeard pirates. Although it is said that the advantage of the battle situation has always been with Marine, Gao Guang will always be with the Whitebeard pirates. So that, looking at Marine from the outside is like looking at a clown. This is especially true for people who don't know or who don't understand the situation on the battlefield. Originally, the senior officials of the world government agreed that the purpose of Sengoku's planning of summit war was to use the name of defeating Whitebeard to increase Marine's prestige, and to pave the way for Marine's entry into the new world in the future. However, this summit war did not improve Marine's prestige, and it can even be said that Marine's prestige was severely damaged. Sengoku, as the planner of the plan, even if the top officials of the world government knew that the Whitebeard pirates were too strong and beyond expectations and had nothing to do with Sengoku itself, the guilt would still be borne. It's not that the higher-ups of world government put Sengoku in the blame. But to give an explanation to the following people. After all, there are very few people who can see the situation clearly. Most people, when they feel Marine's prestige dwindling, can only blame Sengoku, the mastermind of the summit war. Even if the mastermind had really eliminated 4 emperors, it was the same. After all, they couldn't feel the changes in things and situations in New World. All they can feel is the changes around them. But I can guess about your bounty. Oh, 35. Lu Chen looked curious. Although Sengoku's retirement pension has become an established fact. But it's just the formulation of the bounty. The next generation of Marshal Marine will still give him that face to some extent. Tell me the story. It's better to give 180 billion, so that's enough. Wait, 100. Think beautifully. For Lu Chen's words, Sengoku just felt that he was crazy. 18 billion. Not to mention that the money from the world government is not blown by the wind. As for the bounty itself, even One Piece Gall D. Roger's bounty hasn't exceeded 6 billion Baileys. The tens of billions of bounties are unprecedented. Still want 180 billion. Although Lu Chen's strength is strong, he can't compare to Roger in terms of strength or influence. Thief, ha 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 ha. Just when Lu Chen and Sengoku faced off, the battlefield has changed again. At this moment, Whitebeard has completely entered Marineford's land with the Whitebeard pirates. Ace and Luffy, who were rescued by Lu Chen's protection, have also initially joined the Whitebeard pirates. Just when Whitebeard was going to take someone to retreat, a familiar and disgusting figure appeared. Hear his signature laugh. Even Whitebeard could not help frowning at his disgusting face. Dad, don't hate me so much. Blackbeard looked at Whitebeard. With a sad expression on his face, he covered his chest and said, I've been on your ship for decades at least. I almost caught Shanks blind for you. There is no credit, and there is hard work, right? Chapter 218 The Power of Whitebeard. That's right. Whitebeard has a carefree personality, and he also rewarded Blackbeard at the beginning. If Blackbeard just wanted to go out alone, Whitebeard didn't have any special emotions. After all, he also understands. When children grow up, they always have to leave their parents. But he couldn't stand Blackbeard killing his comrade. If the first is the growth of children, then the second is the betrayal of the family. This is something Whitebeard absolutely cannot tolerate. Teach. Whitebeard looked at Blackbeard, and a cold voice came out of his mouth. Anger. Curse. That would be cool though. But it will also make your brain unable to keep calm. In the end, you will lose your advantage in battle and be easily disturbed. Do you know what you did? Of course I know. Blackbeard spoke very crisply. However, I want dark fruit, the fruit I've always dreamed of, and I've always wanted to go crazy. If that's the case, why didn't you speak to Thatch? Whitebeard took a deep breath. What you say to Thatch directly, he will definitely give it to you. Of course I know that. Blackbeard nodded. Captain Sachi has always been very good. As long as I speak, he will give it to me directly 99% of the time. 5. Speaking of which, Blackbeard's face turned. But, there's a 1% chance that he won't give it to me. 55. Don't say it is 1%, even if it is 0.001%, I will never allow it to happen. And, even if I gave up killing Thatch, I would still fight against you, Daddy. Why didn't I kill Captain Sachi ahead of time to make myself one less powerful opponent? It turns out that, if you say that, you did nothing wrong. After listening to Blackbeard's words, Whitebeard nodded. From Blackbeard's standpoint, Blackbeard did nothing wrong. Listening to Whitebeard's words, Blackbeard spread his hands and showed a crazy expression. Look, I'll say Dad, you will understand me. But, next second, a fist hit him in the face. Click, click. There was a sound like glass breaking. Then, Blackbeard's body was thrown straight out. Pain, nausea, there was blood all over his face. Blackbeard barely got up from the ground, looking at Whitebeard with disbelief. It should be said, as expected of you, Dad. There was adoration in Blackbeard's eyes. He never denied his ambitions, and never concealed his respect for Whitebeard. That's why he has some fans among High Mi. He is a villain, and an upright villain. Such a description is very contradictory and may make people feel confused. However, anyone who has seen One Piece can understand this description. However, even so, Blackbeard didn't finish his sentence. Whitebeard stepped forward again. The huge fist fell directly into Blackbeard's body. A mouthful of blood spurted out of Blackbeard's mouth. Pupils bulge. Pain was written all over his face. Invincible. Unable to resist. This is Whitebeard. This is the first powerhouse at sea. Bang. 35. Blackbeard's body flew out again. It stopped when it hit the iron wall behind him. Even the thick iron plate specially prepared for the Whitebeard pirates had some cracks at this time. It hurts. Blackbeard stood up again and again. Looking in Whitebeard's direction revealed fear. Just now, if it wasn't for me having dark fruit, I'm afraid I'd go straight to the stomach. Blackbeard's body is shrouded in dark fruit's black household. Even with dark fruit, his body won't really hurt. Blackbeard still felt the threat of death. The side effect of dark fruit's invulnerability is that it abandons the elementalization and increases the pain tenfold. Elementalization doesn't matter. 10 times the pain. At this time, it seems that some people are really dying. If Whitebeard's strength just now continued to be beaten down, Blackbeard would probably die of pain. It should be said, it is indeed Whitebeard. Sengoku sighed as he looked in the direction of Blackbeard and Whitebeard. Whitebeard doesn't care about physical exertion in order to lead the Whitebeard pirates to Marineford's island. It is not bad to have half of the physical strength in the body now. But, even so, he still ravaged Blackbeard as if he had ravaged a child. Such is the case. Even if I ask Sengoku, an old rival, to do it, I'm afraid it won't be able to do it. Looking at Sengoku's current appearance, Chen showed a smile on his face. It seems that you have a lot of respect for Whitebeard. Backquote. Of course. Quote. Sengoku didn't deny it either. This is his old rival. If even his opponents deny it, then what is he? What has been fought over the past decades? If you don't even respect your opponent. 35. Then what are you? Really? Chen nodded. I agree with Sengoku very much. Recognize the opponent and face the opponent squarely, this is the way forward. Talking room. Chen's eyes flashed red. The illusion that comes with blood wheel eye is directly activated to the maximum degree of hallucination. There was a sound like a stone falling into water. Chen could clearly feel that his pupil power dissipated before reaching Sengoku. The Buddha fruit, silently muttered. Buddha, self-cultivation, let go of the sky, and the world is universal. Although the Buddha of devil fruit is a question mark. However, the ability is still there. It's not an incomprehensible thing to be able to dissolve his illusion. Is this your ability to manipulate others? Chen made a move, and Sengoku naturally noticed it. I recalled the information of Chen in my mind, and quickly determined which aspect of the ability Chen just used. Is it coming from the eyes? Damn, the trick was useless, but Sengoku saw through the pupil technique. Chen smiled. I was scolding my mother in my heart. Although it is said that he has never been hidden, he has not been studied. Everyone who can be manipulated by him has his memory erased by him, and naturally he can't remember how he was manipulated. As for the people who were pulled into the illusion by Chen to practice, they were afraid that their attention was on snapping their fingers. No matter how strong the tricks are, there are still flaws, and I am afraid that the strong will study it. Who knows? Chen shook his head vaguely. If you say that, it must be true. 35 Chapter 219 Akainu joined the war and was beaten as a paratrooper. The battle begins here. This time, Chen took the lead. Since it is said that illusions cannot work on Sengoku, who has the fruit of the great Buddha. Chen was too lazy to continue wasting pupil power. The eyes directly use all their abilities to observe. Kaden Kyokutsu is waving in the hand, like a spirit wandering among the flowers. Only, a deadly spirit. Shikai, don't be alone. As Lu Chen read out the name of the trick, 2 slashes flew out from above Kaden Kyokutsu as if transformed into a tornado. Crossed and slashed directly to Sengoku. Janao. See Lu Chen's trick. Stronger than Sengoku is also dignified at this time. A look of thought appeared in his eyes. Although Mihawk is said to be the #1 swordsman in the world, it's just that other people don't just use knives. 99. There are a lot of people stronger than him. If it is purely about kendo. 99. Perhaps, you are the #1 swordsman in the world. Talking room. The palm of the Buddha is shot. Directly block Lu Chen's slash. But, Sengoku is not good either. The body could not help but take a step back. You're right in saying that. Lu Chen is very positive about Sengoku's evaluation. However, it's just recognition. He did not want to accept the title of the #1 swordsman in the world. I don't think I'm the #1 swordsman in the world. As U100 said, there are not many people who are better than Mihawk, but there are still some. But no one who specializes in kendo is stronger than him. Although I say that kendo is strong, unfortunately, I am not a person specializing in kendo. The title of the greatest swordsman in the world, Mihawk deserves it. 35. Mihawk, who is confronting Buggy, or is slacking off, doesn't know that Sengoku and Lu Chen, who are fighting with gods, are discussing themselves. Ah, a sneeze blows out. Buggy cursing Shanks stopped at the mouth where Roger's boat had been before. He even asked with concern, "What's wrong? Did you catch a cold?" Mihawk shook his head slightly speechlessly, and did not respond to Buggy. If it weren't for him, he would also like to hear about Shanks' past events, and see if he can find Shanks' embarrassing things and words of the past that he doesn't want to recall. He didn't want to hang out with Buggy anymore. Then we move on to the Shanks thing. Seeing this, Buggy immediately returned to his angry expression. Where did you just say? 5. Ask yourself and answer yourself. There was a look of realization on Buggy's face. Right. It's the 2nd month since the 2 of us got on board, you don't know, that Shanks guy. Should it be said that it is the #1 powerhouse above the sea? Akainu, who was watching the battle and didn't shoot, watched Whitebeard beat Blackbeard with a surprised expression on his face. Blackbeard's breath is very mixed. However, he can still sense whether it is strong or not. It may be a little worse than himself, but it is not a big gap. Just such a person. He was beaten like a child by Whitebeard, and he didn't even have the slightest chance to fight back. Devil Fruit Pokédex Marine also has it. As an admiral, Akainu has seen it, and knows it by heart. Although Blackbeard is protected by Dark Fruit, he will not die for a while. Dark Fruit isn't without its drawbacks, either. 10 times the pain, plus Whitebeard's heavy punch and Shock Fruit's bonus. If there were no outsiders to intervene, Blackbeard would have no chance of fighting back, and he would be killed sooner or later. Bang. Another punch. Blackbeard was knocked upside down by Whitebeard again like a sandbag. Boom. 35. This time, even the iron plate wall was cracked by a large gap at this time. At this time, the iron plate wall with a thickness of 10 meters can already see the sea outside through the gap. There was clearly something wrong with Blackbeard's state. Dizzy, eyes blurred. Continue. I am afraid that I will be killed directly by the pain. But, Whitebeard was apparently exhausted too. There was cold sweat on his forehead at this time. The hand is also on the heart. Obvious relapse of old disease. Dark Hound. This moment, Akainu got his chance. A trick of lava ACBD was thrown out. Under the control of Akainu. The lava dog rushed straight to Whitebeard as if it really had life. A sneak attack. Whitebeard's sense of sight had already noticed all this. The corners of his mouth drew an arc. The whole person showed a sneer. As this Marine Admiral, Akainu heard the sarcasm in Whitebeard's words. But, mockery is mockery. Akainu still goes his own way. The justice he believes in is justice without any means. Just the right thing. Even if it is despicable, it must be completed. Kill. Akainu roared. The Hellhound, which was transformed by lava, accelerated again. He jumped high when he was next to Whitebeard. The huge dog's mouth suddenly opened. Bit down on Whitebeard's neck. Click, click. The familiar voice sounded again. Whitebeard stood up slowly. Punch into the void. The sound of glass breaking sounded again. Even the invisible and odorless air is vibrating at this moment. Break. 35. Whitebeard spoke indifferently. The gigantic Hellhound was directly out of Akainu's rule at this time. No matter how Akainu manipulated it, he couldn't make it move even a single step. Click, click. The voice sounded again. The Hellhound's body seemed to be hit by something at this moment. Directly to zero. The entire body turned into small pieces of magma and fell to the ground. No more movement. Akainu attacked confidently, but at this time he didn't do anything. UB asterisk 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 D. Since it's a sneak attack. Then die. 99. Whitebeard glanced at Blackbeard. At this point, Blackbeard had lost half his life. The whole person is in a state of dying. Looks like it can be killed at any time. Actually, because of the protection of Dark Fruit. It would take a while to really kill Blackbeard, even if it was Whitebeard. By comparison, kill Akainu, who is still in full state first. At least crippling Akainu first is the best solution for the battlefield. Whitebeard is old and frail. Even, vaguely has revealed the state of death. However, his combat acumen was not affected in any way. At this time, Akainu made a move, and immediately wanted to understand the benefits. directly turned the muzzle, and quickly rushed in the direction of Akainu. Want me to die? Akainu looked at Whitebeard. A look of disdain appeared in his eyes. It's just an old man who has been exhausted. Even Whitebeard is the same. You're at the end of the game, Whitebeard. Chapter 220 Whitebeard at the end of the shot. Everyone is limited by physical strength and age. Even Whitebeard, the strongest man at sea, is the same. Especially now that Whitebeard has shown a state of physical exhaustion. And myself, because I have been on the edge of OB. Physical strength and ability are not used much, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is in a perfect state. Even Whitebeard is stronger than himself, even so strong that he can handle it. But now the state is so different, can he still be crushed by Whitebeard? The advantage is mine. Akainu made this judgment easily. Red light flashed in his eyes. This is not Lu Chen's blood wheel eye. But the ability of the lava fruit. I saw Akainu's body changing rapidly. The entire body turned into lava. Rapid growth in height. It reached the same height as Whitebeard directly. Fist in hand raised high. Whitebeard, it's time for you to fall. Just a little guy like you, do you want to kill me too? Whitebeard's angry voice resounded across the battlefield. It is also a right fist. It contains the ability of shock fruit. Click, 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 crack, click. 35. There was a sound like glass breaking. Akainu on the other side is a lava fist that burns to the point where the air is deformed. Bang. A muffled sound rang. Akainu's lava fist had collided with Whitebeard's flesh fist. A time. The two sides were deadlocked in place. Great. In such a situation, surprise appeared on Akainu's face. This is exactly the scene he imagined. If Whitebeard is full, no, even if he still has physical strength, he will not be able to tie with Whitebeard. Now is the time to kill the king of the sea. Akainu thought so. Whitebeard on the opposite side smiled slightly. Why are you laughing? Seeing Whitebeard smile, a look of doubt appeared on Akainu's face. Whitebeard didn't give Akainu an answer, but instead asked, don't you think something is missing? Listen to Whitebeard. A look of doubt appeared on Akainu's face. Immediately after, a horrified expression appeared on his face. What's missing? Of course, the fruit ability is missing. And what is the fruit of Whitebeard? Shock fruit. Not good. Akainu looked panicked. The gesture is to retract the arm. But, a sneer appeared on Whitebeard's face. It's too late. As Whitebeard's voice fell, the ability of shock fruit has been passed on to Akainu. Click, 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 crack, clap. It sounded like the sound of glass breaking. Akainu started to spread from the fist to the arm. Every place affected by shock fruit's ability seems to be dead, and cannot be controlled by Akainu. Damn it! Akainu roared, hastily lifted the lava on his right arm. The whole body quickly stepped back. Bang! A loud bang. The lava arm burst open. In an instant, it turned into small stones, flying in the air. This moment, there seemed to be fire rain in the sky. As if the world was about to end. Do it all. Whitebeard shook his hand. The dark purple on his arms gradually disappeared. It was armament hockey. That's why he dared to confront Akainu's lava fist. No matter how strong Whitebeard is, he is still mortal. It is impossible to withstand thousands of degrees of lava. Without the protection and isolation of armament hockey, the fists and arms would not have been roasted, fearing that they would vaporize and disappear. Boy, you run really fast. Damn it, Akainu roared. But in competent rage, there was nothing he could do about it. It can even be said that there is absolutely no way. This looks like Whitebeard, who is at the end of the arrow. How can he still have such a strong power? This is something he can't understand. Boy, I'm coming again. Akainu is messy. He didn't know why Whitebeard still had so much power. But Whitebeard wouldn't give him a chance. That move just now looked like Whitebeard had the upper hand without a doubt. Visually, Whitebeard is also stronger, and Akainu is powerless. But, when it came time to count the damage, Akainu only suffered on the surface. Similar to invalid output, the tricks are gorgeous but not practical. Akainu's body wasn't hurt at all. Step out. Whitebeard's body scraped the air around him. Even if it's just the airflow induced around it, it was enough to crush and even kill the Marines who were besieged. The huge right fist was thrown again. Go straight to Akainu's head and hit him. Whitebeard, you are going to die after all, why resist? Seeing this, Akainu also became serious. Hastily began to condense the energy of the lava fruit. Great eruption. With Akainu, use the energy of the lava fruits around you to the maximum. A huge fist comparable to a battleship was condensed by him. Just smashed it straight at Whitebeard. Ha ha ha. Hearing Akainu's words, Whitebeard laughed wildly. The whole body was already covered with blood. It was the war injury he had just experienced. Those ordinary Marines are not weak either. 0.00. In the case of Whitebeard's physical weakness, occasionally someone would break through to give him a knife or a shot. A small number of injuries are under the base of thousands of people. It's no exaggeration to say that nothing about Whitebeard is intact. But, it just made Whitebeard look miserable. He wasn't seriously injured. You kid, you're still scared after all. Whitebeard's bold voice sounded. Guan Dao was held in his left hand. On the right hand appeared a circle of air shock several meters in size. Swipe straight away. Bang. 35. The lava fist that was comparable to the size of a warship collapsed directly under the protection of Whitebeard's air shock. The lava rain that had just been transformed by the hellhounds just wanted to stop. It was replenished by the lava blocks smashed by this great eruption, again. Should I say it's my father? At this point, after recovering for a while, Blackbeard finally regained his sanity. Seeing admiration and need in Whitebeard's eyes. I like this power too. Speaking of which, there was even a golden light in Blackbeard's eyes. That is greed for power. That's greed for shock fruit. If there is anything in this world that can excite Blackbeard, it is only the shock fruit owned by Whitebeard. At the same time, an embarrassed look appeared on Akainu's face. The whole person looked at Whitebeard's blood-stained body in disbelief, and said with twitches at the corners of his mouth, "You told me that this is an old man who is at the end of his life." Chong. Chapter 221 Feng Xiaoxiao, Whitebeard is broken. Akainu, do you want to join forces? At this time, Blackbeard came to Akainu's side. Akainu looked at Blackbeard with unabashed disgust on his face. But, he finally nodded. Good. 35. Deal with Whitebeard. Then all who can be united should be united. You two actually got together. Whitebeard showed an incredible expression when he saw that Blackbeard and Akainu were actually teaming up. This is broadcast all over the world. Akainu, aren't you afraid of being caught wearing small shoes? Hearing Whitebeard's words, Akainu's mouth twitched. Do you think he will? How could he have teamed up with Blackbeard if it hadn't gotten to the point where it couldn't be done? You're overthinking this. Blackbeard is now Shichibukai, and it is legitimate for the two of us to join forces. Listen to Akainu. 100. Whitebeard looked at Blackbeard unexpectedly. Blackbeard shrugged at this. Original. He intends to capture Luffy and give it to Marine in exchange for becoming Shichibukai himself. However, because of many factors such as Ace and Aokiji, he didn't do it. At first I thought I couldn't be Shichibukai anymore. Unexpectedly, I ran into Bonnie by accident. The same as a supernova. The effect of Bonnie being caught is naturally the same. Dad. Blackbeard looked at Whitebeard with an educator's superiority on his face. There are many things in this world that you can't even imagine. Listen to Blackbeard. Whitebeard burst out laughing. Just you, are you worthy of educating me? As he spoke, Whitebeard raised his right hand high. The gesture is about to smash behind him. He's going to take Blackbeard down again with shock fruit. Dad, we've got an ace. At this time, there was a sound from the sky. Look towards the source of the sound. It was Marco who spoke. Whitebeard looked around quickly. Really, Ace has reunited with the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates. At this time, because of the addition of Ace and Luffy. Even though the Marines had poured in from the outside and flanked them with more people than they had encountered when they attacked, they still retreated faster than when they attacked. Let's get out. Whitebeard smiled slightly. Just about to respond. Suddenly my heart tightened. The already pale face was even more ugly. Fine. The blood on his face covered it all up. It seems. I can't live anymore. The old disease relapsed, coupled with serious injuries. Whitebeard knows his body well. Even if it is really going back now, it is impossible to have too much time to live. In that case, there was a look of determination in Whitebeard's eyes. Goo la la la. Familiar laughter sounded. Whitebeard waved his hand. The future is yours, and the purpose of my existence is to help you keep the future. What? Hear this from Whitebeard. Everyone was stunned. How could they have no idea what Whitebeard was talking about? Whitebeard is sacrificing himself to let the rest of the Whitebeard pirates live as much as possible. I am a remnant of the previous generation. 5. It's also the one who stands in the way of your new generation. In that case, then the future path will be opened up for you by me. Quote. Marineford top. Lu Chen and Sengoku have ceased fighting. Luffy's body is messy. Sengoku is about the same. Neither side did much damage. Because they did not intend to fight to the death, the two sides did not reveal much. Naturally, there is no real winner. It's really shocking. Even though I've seen it countless times before. However, Lu Chen was still shocked. This shock is of course not because of his own arrival. Change the fate of the Whitebeard pirates. Nor is it because Whitebeard's lines are different. Rather, it was the admiration for Whitebeard's charisma. As expected of the number 1 player at sea. 35. As expected of the uncrowned One Piece. 359. He deserves it. Certainly. Listen to Lu Chen. Sengoku nodded, glancing at Lu Chen. After perceiving that Lu Chen had no will to fight, he cancelled the state of the Buddha after a little thought, and returned to the appearance of an ordinary person. He looked in Whitebeard's direction with a flash of memory in his eyes. He always wanted to kill Whitebeard. For this purpose. He even went from Marine Soldier to Marine Marshal Zero. For this purpose, he has spent his whole life. But it was really time for Whitebeard to die alone. He was still emotional. Correct. Whitebeard is now in the dying stage. Maybe Blackbeard and Akainu in the battlefield can't see it, that's because they are in the battlefield themselves, and they don't have any extra thoughts except how to take Whitebeard's tricks. Marco and Ace and others couldn't see it either, because their emotions were all about saving Ace and running away quickly. Others can't see it either, because they are not strong enough. But it is impossible for Lu Chen and Sengoku not to see. After thinking for a while, Sengoku smiled wryly. Perhaps, this is the best ending for Whitebeard. The best ending. Lu Chen glanced at Sengoku. Isn't the best ending not to die in New World and become a legend? Certainly. Lu Chen didn't say it. It was difficult to separate from Sengoku. He didn't want to fight Sengoku again just like that. Now is the best stage for him to leave. And make Whitebeard a legend for a generation. Sengoku, no, is it really possible that the world government will allow it? The answer is obviously no. Whatever you want. 5. Lu Chen shrugged. At this time, he had already made plans to leave. Ace has also been rescued now. If you don't stop me, I will leave. Sengoku certainly couldn't have said, then you go, etc. 1.3. He just stood there, neither speaking nor intending to make a move. In this way, Lu Chen smiled slightly. Go straight to the air. Just left here. Whitebeard was going to die, and so was he. Even without this, he wouldn't have lived long. This is something Lu Chen knows, and he also has no ability to save Whitebeard. However, what happened next, he had the ability to stop it. That was the death of Ace. Ace is the man with the greatest potential in One Piece. Only 2 years older than Luffy, he has the strength of a deputy emperor. And it is absolutely impossible for him to be his enemy. It can be said, this guy is Lu Chen elevating himself. No, the best person to help. To make Luffy the Pirate King. In order to make yourself stronger, Ace is an essential existence. Chapter 222 Save Ace, Akainu wants to kill Lu Chen. Even say, so giving Luffy one more opponent is fine. At least, before really reaching the apex, the final island. Ace couldn't possibly clash with Luffy. Even to the final island. Luffy and Ace are just the two of them fighting. Like Luffy and Shanks. The members of the pirate group have nothing to do with it. Even though I have found another opponent for Luffy, it can be regarded as a relief from Luffy's heart disease, right? Lu Chen found comfort for himself. Not to mention the fact that he intends to use Ace to make himself stronger. You old man, it's time to die. 35. At this time, Marco and Ace and others were persuaded by Whitebeard. The captain's order can never be refuted. The Whitebeard pirates also understood what would happen if Whitebeard waited for others to break up for him. Especially the big vortex spider, crying and wanting to go back to help Whitebeard. He had suspected Whitebeard before, and almost hurt Whitebeard for this. But was stopped. You should also know that our target has always been you, right? Confront Akainu and Blackbeard. Whitebeard didn't care. His eyes scanned the bodies of Blackbeard and Akainu. He couldn't help but mutter. A combination between Marine Admiral and Shichibukai. 5. Although it violates the agreement. But it does make sense. Don't you listen to others. Hearing Whitebeard's words, Akainu was a little speechless. The whole body has begun to lava. On the other side, Blackbeard smiled wildly. Do you think it's just the two of us? Hear what Blackbeard has to say. Not just Whitebeard. Even Akainu was stunned for a moment, looking at Blackbeard with a puzzled expression. Come out, mates. With Blackbeard's words, members of the Blackbeard pirates appear one after another. Giza's Badgers, known as the Fighting Champion, Shiryu of Impel Down, Van Oka, a super sniper known as Yinyu, Abaro Pizarro, the 6th floor prisoner of Impel Down, known as Devil Sheriff, Lafitte, Impel Down 6th floor prisoner called Schwanyu Hunter. Catherine Diame, Impel Down 6th floor prisoner called Giant Battleship. San Juan Evil Wolf, Impel Down 6th floor prisoner called Big Wine, Basque Chote, the poisonous Q known as Shinigami. See this lineup. Whitebeard was taken aback. Immediately, he turned his gaze to Akainu. He asked slightly sarcastically, Shichibukai. Akainu looks embarrassed. Of course he knew what Whitebeard meant. Most of Blackbeard's so-called partners are from the 6th floor of Impel Down. It is absolutely impossible for these people to be released, and being able to appear in front of them now means that Blackbeard ran into Impel Down as Shichibukai and released these criminals. Those are all repeated offenses by the world government. This is not only a challenge to the title of Shichibukai, but also a challenge to the world government. Don't take it too seriously. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at Akainu. Blackbeard also knew that this was not the time to be with Marine. The most important thing now is to kill Whitebeard. Or, do you think the two of us can kill him? Listen to Blackbeard. Akainu's eyes flickered. He also knew about it. Although the people on the 6th floor of Impel Down are said to be unforgivable criminals. But it also means that they have absolute strength. Think for a moment. Akainu ignored the matter. But it doesn't mean he wants to mix with Blackbeard either. At least, superficially not. Turn around. Suffering from just getting punched a few times by Whitebeard. Akainu just left here. Aren't you going to continue sieging Whitebeard with me? See Akainu leave. Blackbeard also felt a little speechless. If Akainu is his own, he is absolutely reliable. But now his crew has all arrived. The other party was just a half-crippled Whitebeard. Kill. It's not impossible. Want to run. Akainu leaves the team to encircle Whitebeard. The goal of coming here is naturally to find the protagonist who should be the protagonist of this war. The same man who lured Whitebeard into taking the bait. Fire Fist. Ace. With the strength of Admiral. Akainu's speed is naturally very fast. But it is still a little difficult to catch up with Ace, which is also the fruit of Logia. That being the case, then it's just sarcasm. Psychological warfare is used again. Do you know how many Whitebeard pirates died for you this time? Ace was unmoved. You know what kind of pain Whitebeard is going through right now. This sentence. Ace paused, but in the end it didn't stop. To this, Akainu clicks his tongue. It was clear in his eyes. He figured out Ace's pain point. It seems that Whitebeard's death this time was nothing more than saving a piece of trash. 5. The so-called strongest person in the sea is the uncrowned One Piece just like that. You are so special. Ace was directly ignited by Akainu because of the spirit of guilt. Turning around and going to fight Akainu desperately. Dad is not someone like you can insult. 35. See Ace turn around. Luffy also turned around, followed Ace and rushed towards Akainu. Bang. Ace hasn't gotten too far out yet. Was immediately stopped. People at the deputy level want to be stopped. Marco, who is also a deputy emperor, is naturally impossible. 100. Did it. It was Lu Chen who just arrived. You. 35. I'm pretty smart on weekdays, how could I be stimulated by Akainu? 35. This guy just wants to provoke you and kill you. Of course I know. Ace looked at Lu Chen and lowered his head involuntarily. His eyes were full of dissatisfaction. I know you're not happy. Lu Chen turned his head to look at Akainu, but was still talking to Ace. But I'm not willing to let you die recklessly and go back to New World to hone your strength. Then use strength to avenge Whitebeard. Quote. Ace was scolded. But willingly. After some thought. Sighing, he turned around again and took Luffy away. Tisk. Akainu looked at Lu Chen. There was some disgust in his eyes. Nosy guy, I find that I hate you more and more. 35. To this, Lu Chen shrugged, looking at Akainu with a little teasing. You are Marine, I am a pirate. This assessment is very normal. Or, if you don't hate me but like me, I'll feel a little dangerous. Akainu's eyes never left Ace. After making sure Ace couldn't catch up. Slightly narrowed his eyes. Since Ace can't kill you, killing you is also a good choice. Chapter 223 3 Admiral pursues, red hair debuts. At this time, Akainu's eyes turned to Lu Chen, revealing murderous intent. If you can't catch up with Ace, then kill this Lu Chen. Ace, as one of the Pirate King Roger, has great potential and limitless. But for now, Akainu feels that Lu Chen's performance is even more terrifying. He is obviously young, but he has already shown amazing power. In particular, his hockey accomplishments are not strong. Under such circumstances, he can traverse the battlefield, and if he waits until he is Master Hockey and Grandmaster, then that's it. Dark Hound. Thinking like this, Akainu no longer hesitated, the whole person turned into a lava, and protruded towards Lu Chen. In the next second, the fiery red magma fist pierced through Lu Chen's body. Lu Chen. Seeing this scene, Ace's expression changed suddenly. Luffy grabbed his brother and said with a smile, don't worry about him, he is very strong. 5. As predicted, as if to prove Luffy's words, Akainu's face froze. The fist he hit seemed to have pierced through Lu Chen, but he didn't feel the slightest sense. Looking at Lu Chen subconsciously, Akainu was stunned again. Something weird happened. At this moment, Lu Chen's eyes turned into a scarlet color. The complicated and bewitching patterns spread out and slowly revolved. In the pupil stretched out, a blood-colored full moon rose slowly. There is no doubt that the reason why Lu Chen was unscathed was that he used Kamui to put his body into the hollow state. Not only that, at this time, he also began to use pupil power, using illusion on Akainu. For a while, Akainu's eyes flashed, and he fell into an illusion. But Akainu is the top powerhouse after all. His spiritual power is also very powerful. So in just an instant, he broke free from the illusion and came back to his senses. But taking advantage of his absent-minded moment, Lu Chen has caught up with Luffy and Ace and others. Seeing this scene, Akainu's face suddenly sank. Fortunately. Those who didn't want Lu Chen and others to leave safely, as well as his partners. Yo, Lu Chen, if we let you escape, we can't make a difference. At this moment, a golden light flashed, and Kizaru's figure flashed into the air. When he put his hands together, he was about to release a large amount of light waves, leaving Lu Chen and the others here together with the boat. However, at this moment, Lu Chen's Mangekyo Sharingan looked towards Kizaru again. Kizaru met Lu Chen's eyes subconsciously, and his movement stopped for a moment. The corner of Lu Chen's mouth twitched, suddenly holding the blade in his hand, he slashed into the air. A magnificent blue light shot straight into the sky. Snort. Cut Kizaru in half directly. Such an attack still failed to hurt Kizaru, who possesses the ability of sparkling fruit, but it also completely interrupted his spellcasting. Make it unavailable for a while. The boat started, and Lu Chen and others began to come to the sea. One by one, the sails were raised and they were about to leave Marineford. And don't forget, Marine Admiral, besides Akainu and Kizaru, there is also Aokiji. So, at this moment, a murmur sounded. Ice Age. Kaka kaka. The sea froze again on a massive scale. The ships of Lu Chen and others were once again frozen on the frozen sea, making it difficult to move forward. Aokiji. Luffy's face changed. I saw that not far from their boat, Aokiji squatted there, and slowly retracted his hand from the sea. There was also a severe cold emanating from him. Without a doubt, this is his masterpiece. Ace suddenly gritted his teeth, jumped onto the bow, and slammed towards Aokiji as if his right hand was on fire. Fire punch. The huge flame fist swelled up, and then rumbled away. Aokiji's figure was instantly submerged. The terrifying flames even melted the ice in a small area. But the melting of the ice in this small area apparently did not help. The frozen area of Aokiji was so large that even if Ace tried his best, the ice would not melt in a short period of time. See this scene. Akainu refreshed. As long as Chen and others are left here, he has the confidence to defeat them all. This time in the Summit War, although their target was Whitebeard, people like Ace naturally couldn't stay. Also Marco et al., Luffy, Chen. If these people do not cut the grass and roots now, they will definitely cause more trouble to them in the future. It's no surprise, even, that a character like Whitebeard rises up among them. At this moment, Aokiji reappeared by the side unscathed. He held the ice spear and seemed to throw it at Chen and others. Seeing this, Akainu immediately reminded loudly, Kuzan, don't look into that guy's eyes, he seems to have a weird ability that can make people hallucinate. 99. At this time, Kizaru also came back to his senses, with a look of deep understanding on his face. The feeling just now was very uncomfortable. However, when Aokiji heard the words, there was not much reaction. In fact, he had experienced Chen's strange abilities a long time ago. So he had already taken precautions. At this moment, he also tried his best not to fight with Chen, just to avoid being confused by him and having hallucinations. With an ice spear in hand, Aokiji was about to launch a long-range attack. But just then, something unexpected happened. Clang. Just as Aokiji's ice spear flew out of his hand, it was slashed by sword light. A red-haired man in a black cloak, armed with a saber, appeared in front of Aokiji. Seeing this man, Aokiji's expression suddenly changed. At the same time, the expressions of everyone present also changed. Akainu and Kizaru's faces froze. Sengoku and Garp frowned. Whitebeard glanced this way, his eyes flickering slightly. Blackbeard and the others were shocked. As for Chen's side, Ace raised his eyebrows, and Luffy yelled directly. Backquote. Shanks. Exclamation mark question mark quote. That's right, the red-haired man who blocked Aokiji's ice spear was Shanks. Acquired one of the 4 emperors with Whitebeard, the redhead, Shanks. Along with the red hair, there are all the members of the Red Hair Pirates. Co-Captain Ben Beckman, Usopp and more. As if captured by the majesty of Red Hair Pirates, at this moment, everyone present subconsciously stopped fighting. At this time, the red-haired gaze shifted from Aokiji to the audience. He saw the seriously injured Whitebeard, saw the ambitious Blackbeard, saw the safe and sound Ace and Luffy, and saw Chen. Finally, he uttered the famous sentence. Everyone, give me a face and stop this war. Of course, if anyone else hasn't had enough trouble. Come on then, we Red Hair Pirates, be your opponent. As soon as Haki's words came out, almost everyone was shocked. Red Hair Pirates came to stop Summit War. Chapter 224, the top is stopped and the war is terminated. This moment, the expressions of everyone present changed. The Red Hair came here with the pirates, and they came to stop the war. Knowing this, even the commanders such as Whitebeard and Sengoku were a little surprised. You know, Summit War has been going on so far. Both Marine and their Whitebeard pirates were exhausted. Under such circumstances, if the Redheads attack any of them, they will definitely gain a lot. But now, he didn't appear to take advantage of the fisherman, but to stop him. Among the people present, only Chen was probably the only one with red hair. Even he knew. The reason why the red hair appeared so late was not to wait until the Whitebeard pirates and Marine were both lost, but to repel Kaido. That's right. In the original book, in this Summit War, Guy actually wanted to join in the fun. But was stopped by red hair pirates. And now it seems so. But when it comes to this, Chen can't help but feel a little strange. What kind of mentality did the redhead have to stop this Summit War? You know, the Whitebeard pirates and Marine. No matter which side loses, it is a great thing for the 4 emperors like him. Could it be that he is really so merciful and simply doesn't want to see life being ruined? But as a pirate, no matter how kind-hearted Hong's S**X is, it's not very likely. What about 100? He came out to stop the war, really just because of his friendship with Whitebeard. If that was the case, Chen couldn't help but admire the youngest 4 emperors. You know, it is no joke to come forward to prevent such a level of war. If you're not careful, maybe Marine will annihilate even their red hair pirates. And before coming here, the red hair pirates need to fight off Kaido. The red hair pirates paid so much to stop the war, one can imagine. But he still came without hesitation, and even in order to stop the war, he did not hesitate to provoke all the forces present. This kind of loyalty, it is not an exaggeration to say that the righteousness is thin. But right now, it's obviously not the time to delve into this. Now that the redheads came to stop the war, perhaps, they could not only retreat, but even take Whitebeard. Thinking of this, Chen looked at Whitebeard opposite. At this time, Whitebeard was not as domineering as he used to be. Facing the redhead's move, there was a touch of softness on his face. Before changing it, he must have jumped out and reprimanded the red hair first. But now, the arrival of the red hair did make him secretly relieved. At least, Ace et al. Should be able to retreat safely ACBD. Compared to the Whitebeard pirates, the red-haired move was naturally a big disadvantage for Marine. Redhead, this is our final battle with the Whitebeard pirates, you shouldn't interfere. At this time, Sengoku's face sank, and he said loudly to the red hair. The current Whitebeard is already at the end of the shot, and they will soon be able to take their lives. And without them having to do it, Blackbeard and others should be able to do it. And Akainu's 3 Marine Admiral, who are free to pursue Luffy and Ace and others. Judging from the situation just now, Aokiji also succeeded. Next, as long as Akainu and Kizaru are supported, they can keep the Whitebeard pirates, and even Luffy, Chen and others here forever. Now that the redhead suddenly ran out to disrupt the situation, Sengoku certainly didn't want to. Akainu, the 3 Marine Admiral, also started to move at this time. But this time, Ben Beckman, Usopp and others all stood up one after another. Kizaru, don't move. Ben Beckman aimed a firearm at Kizaru. Kizaru immediately surrendered. As for Akainu, it was also targeted by Usopp. It's been a long time since I've had a fight with Marine Admiral, and it's good to take this opportunity to relive it. You guys seem to be spending a lot of money. 35. In the face of Marine 3 Admiral, Ben Beckman and others, they chatted and laughed. Akainu and the others' faces suddenly sank. Of course they are not afraid of redheads and others. But after the battle just now, they all consumed a lot, and now they rashly fight with the red hair pirates, and the outcome is unpredictable. Certainly, Blackbeard is the most dissatisfied with the redheads preventing the war. Thief, ha ha ha, redhead, the scars on your face match you very well. At this time, Blackbeard laughed and deliberately provoked. Teach. The redhead looked at Blackbeard, his face sank. Blackbeard continued. What, redhead, don't you think you can really stop this war? I tell you, Whitebeard must die today. If you dare to stop it, then this place will also be your burial place. Blackbeard laughed arrogantly, but was actually panicked. His plan this time is to kill Whitebeard and take away his shock fruit ability. But just now, because of Chen's influence, he never succeeded. After finally being able to besiege Whitebeard, the redhead ran out again. If this goes on, he may really be unable to capture Whitebeard's shock fruit ability. Of course Blackbeard didn't want to see this happen, and immediately said to Sengoku, Hey, Sengoku, you don't really want to listen to this guy, stop fighting. Whitebeard is dying, if you don't end this old guy here, then you Marines will be finished. And the entire Whitebeard pirates, such a good opportunity to destroy the group, don't you want to miss it? 35. Hearing this, Whitebeard's face sank. He held the supremely fast knife in both hands, and he slashed furiously in the direction of Blackbeard. Boom. The space seemed to be broken, and the terrifying impact swept away. Blackbeard and the others suddenly turned their backs. Just such a blow made Whitebeard's injury worse, and blood oozing from the corners of his mouth. Seeing this, the red hair quickly persuaded. Sengoku, your goal should have been achieved, why are you still unwilling to stop the war? Are you really going to fight our red hair pirates to the death? Besides, with your Marine's current situation, can you really defeat us while taking down the Whitebeard pirates? Akainu immediately retorted. Nonsense. Exorcise the evil. No matter if you have 4 emperors or 4 emperors, even if 4 emperors are present at the same time, our Marine will not retreat. It's just that Sengoku at this time groaned. He glanced at Whitebeard's state, then glanced around at the situation. With the exception of Marine 3 Admiral who remained active, the rest of the Marine generals, and even the Marine soldiers, were clearly fatigued. Of course, against the red hair pirates, it is still possible. But as Red Hair said, it's hard to say whether we can take down the Whitebeard pirates and defeat their red hair pirates at the same time. Finally, Sengoku narrowed his eyes and said loudly, all Marines obey the order, stop the war, and do all they can to help the wounded. He was persuaded and decided to stop the summit war. Chapter 225, The Unwilling Blackbeard, Chen saves Whitebeard. All Marines obey orders, stop the war, and do all they can to help the wounded. At this moment, Sengoku's voice spread throughout the battlefield. The Marines were stunned for a moment. A truce has really been decided. Marshal Sengoku. Akainu's face changed suddenly, and he wanted to persuade him to say something. As the main battle faction, he is not satisfied with the current results. Sengoku shook his head solemnly. Sakazuki, this is an order. 5. Akainu clenched his fists, but didn't say anything after all. Aokiji and Kizaru heard the words, but also did not comment. In this way, with the consensus of these Marine executives, this summit war has come to an end. Seeing this, the redhead sighed in relief. To be honest, he was actually a little worried that Sengoku would be tough. Fortunately, the other party did not lose his mind. Seeing Sengoku make such a decision, the Whitebeard pirates and the others were also relieved. Luffy et al. Are also delighted. On the other hand, Chen remained calm. Because he had already anticipated how Sengoku would choose. The current battle situation, although not as good as the original, but in fact, Marine has no advantage. In the whole scene, it seems that Marine has the upper hand, but it is not. Except for Marine 3 Admiral, the other generals and Marine soldiers were all in a state of fatigue and even wounded. In this way, to continue fighting, we can only rely on Marine 3 Admiral. But if it's going to be a fight, a single red hair pirates can stop Marine 3 Admiral. By then, what will Marine do to take down the Whitebeard pirates, as well as Chen and Luffy? Get distracted Garp on, or let those Shichibukai fish in troubled waters. Although Sengoku is also a top fighter, he obviously cannot guarantee that he can keep the likes of Whitebeard and Chen. Certainly, Sengoku made this decision. In fact, there is also a reason why Whitebeard has been seriously injured. Even if he doesn't kill Whitebeard now, Whitebeard won't be able to live much longer. There is no need to kill more Marine lives, or even Marineford, for the sake of quickness. Besides, there is another very important reason. That's the Blackbeard variable. Blackbeard, as the 7 warlords of the sea, has also contributed to Whitebeard this time, but he is clearly ambitious. At this moment, a large number of prisoners on the 6th floor of Impel Down gathered around him. The presence of these prisoners here means that it is very likely that Impel Down has fallen. Under this circumstance, if Marineford were to be destroyed again, then their marines would be really devastated. I'm afraid it won't be able to recover for many years. So Sengoku wisely chose a truce. In fact, if it really counts, if all the prisoners in Impel Down escape, the impact may be much stronger than Whitebeard. For this reason, Sengoku was naturally unwilling to waste his military power in vain. At this time, he had even anticipated the difficulties they would face after the Summit War. Rebuilding Marineford, treating a large number of wounded, and bringing back those Impel Down prisoners are all major projects. Compared to these, Whitebeard and his pirate group, who are about to die now, are nothing. It was just this wise decision made by Sengoku that made Blackbeard's face contort in an instant. Damn, are you Marines, you actually let these pirates go? Blackbeard got up from the ground, blood still on the corners of his mouth. If Sengoku decides to truce, he's done. That way, he won't be able to take away Whitebeard's shock fruit ability. Without this ability, he would not be able to suppress these vicious criminals from the 6th floor of Impel Down. Even his former subordinates may be dissatisfied. No, don't let him go. 35. Everyone, let's go together, don't waste your life. After taking out Whitebeard, the whole world will tremble under our feet. Returning to his senses, Blackbeard hurriedly encouraged his comrades and criminals. Captain, needless to say, I'll be the first to support you. Me too. And I. Badgers, Van Oka and other old subordinates immediately echoed. On the other hand, the newly added Wine Barrel and others were a little hesitant. Can they really take out Whitebeard without Marine? Dad, we are coming. At this time, Marco came flying with Ace. Since Sengoku has decided to truce, it means that they can take Whitebeard away. So, Marco and Ace flew here for the first time. Zero. Ask for flowers. Seeing the two flying over, Blackbeard, Badgers and the others suddenly changed their expressions slightly. The criminals such as the Wine Barrel are even more hesitant. If Marco and Ace fought, it would be even more impossible for them to kill Whitebeard. Come on, kill him now. Blackbeard was in a hurry, and took Badgers and others to kill Whitebeard again. At this time, he didn't care about instigating the Barrels and others. In fact, in his opinion, with Badgers and others, he should be able to kill Whitebeard in this state. However, at this time, Whitebeard's face turned cold, and a shocking light appeared on the blade of the supremely fast knife. Blackbeard froze in his heart. But at this moment, something surprising happened to him. The tremor ring on Kong Yunshan's blade suddenly subsided silently. 0.00. Whitebeard trembled and covered his mouth, but he continued to vomit blood. Great opportunity. 9. Dark water. Blackbeard was overjoyed. Badgers and others were also refreshed. When the Wine Barrel and others saw this, they were also a little shaken, and they were about to help. Looking at this, Whitebeard should have relapsed. In this case, maybe they can kill Whitebeard before Marco and Ace fly in. Blackbeard's ability was activated, and a large amount of black mist swept toward Whitebeard. Dad, when Marco and Ace saw this scene, their expressions changed greatly. But even though Marco was already flying as hard as he could, he was still a little short. Seeing that Whitebeard was about to be swallowed by the black mist, the space around him suddenly fluctuated, and a man in black flashed out. His eyes are different from ordinary people, they are scarlet, and there are two strange patterns in the shape of gears. Without a doubt, it was Chen. Looking at the surprised Whitebeard in front of him, he couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth. Just now, it was impossible. But now that Whitebeard can be rescued, thereby preventing Blackbeard from taking the shock fruit ability, he certainly won't be indifferent. Let's go. Chen chuckled, then dragged Whitebeard and disappeared into place. The black mist transformed by Dark Fruit's ability suddenly flew into the air. Blackbeard froze. The eager expressions of Marco and Ace also solidified on their faces. Next second, Chen reappeared in Luffy's shipyard with Whitebeard.